Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Hokage. Reward 10,000 times for teaching disciples. Start by teaching Naruto Sss's level Ninjutsu. Chapter 31. 5 Elements Seal is an advanced sealing technique. The learning difficulty level is a level, and ordinary Jonin cannot learn it. In this world, there are only a few people who master the 5 Elements Seal. Apart from Orochimaru and Jiraiya, they are probably the 3rd generation and the 4th generation. To learn the 5 Elements Seal, you must master the nature transformation of chakra, which are the 5 attributes of thunder, wind, water, earth, and fire. In the anime, there was no setting for the nature of chakra at the beginning, so the 5 Elements Seal used by Orochimaru and Jiraiya at that time were the 5 elements of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. Later Kishimoto changed it, and here we use the 5 attributes chakra. Mizuki now only masters the wind attribute chakra transformation. Therefore, he cannot learn the 5 Elements Seal now. I won't focus on this. Orochimaru is such a dog. There is no use in giving me such a thing. Mizuki certainly wouldn't expect little Sakura to learn the 5 Elements Seal. It was given to little Sakura just for the system to return it. Ding. Host granted disciple Haruno Sakura the 5 Elements Seal cultivation method, triggering a double return. Mizuki immediately frowned. Did you hear that right? Double. Little Sakura's qualifications are not bad. Is this broken system broken? Congratulations to host, you have obtained the 5 Elements Unseal practice method. 5 Elements Unseal. The 5 Elements Seal can be released. Mizuki breathed heavily in his chest and almost couldn't get over it. With little Sakura nearby, he wanted to curse but couldn't. I can only sit down on the ground, look up at the darkening sky, and shut myself up in silence. Unfortunately, there is no cigarette in my pocket. After a long time, Mizuki sighed and thought to himself, it's not a gain, at least, 5 Elements Unseal can lift the 5 Elements Seal planted by Orochimaru on Naruto. Even though he thought so, he was still unwilling to do so. So, he decided to try again. Little Sakura, the 5 Elements Seal is difficult to learn in a short time. Therefore, I will teach you another illusion that can improve your strength. Mizuki also taught the Narukumi technique to little Sakura. The learning difficulty level of Narukumi technique is level D, and its power is not very strong. It is easy for little Sakura to learn. The Narukumi technique allows the enemy to see the most feared things in their hearts. This is what Orochimaru used on you before. Little Sakura was overjoyed when she got the training method. Thank you, Master Mizuki. Ding. Host granted disciple Haruno Sakura the Narukumi technique practice method, triggering a 2222 times return. Congratulations to host, you got the magic. Hell training method. Magic. Hell, a single S-level illusion. After being used on a single enemy, it will cause him to experience the punishment of hell, and his spirit will suffer a huge impact and be damaged. After the introduction of the system, Mizuki smiled. Seeing that it was getting dark soon, Mizuki and little Sakura took Naruto and Sasuke back to Dazuna's house. Master Mizuki, will they be okay? Little Sakura asked. Mizuki, don't worry, they will wake up tomorrow morning. Little Sakura nodded and looked at Sasuke with a worried look on her face. Master Mizuki, who is that Orochimaru? When he saw us, he asked where you were and cast illusions on us. Does he have any grudge against you? Mizuki explained. Orochimaru, Konoha's S-class rebel ninja, one of the former Konoha Sannin, and the proud disciple of the 3rd Hokage. Master Hokage's disciple. Little Sakura was shocked. She couldn't understand why such a person would become a traitor. Shouldn't he stay in Konoha and inherit the position of Hokage? Mizuki. He came to me because he wanted to encourage me to betray Konoha and become his subordinate. Ah, betraying Konoha. Master Mizuki, do you agree? Little Sakura looked at Mizuki. Mizuki is speechless. I promised, and will I still be here? It's good to stay in Konoha. Mizuki said casually. Then he said, okay, let's have dinner and rest early. Tomorrow Dazuna will start repairing the bridge. We are busy. After the meal, Mizuki borrowed the kitchen, took out a pack of high-efficiency body-building medicine, boiled it, brewed a thick blue juice, poured it into the bathtub and started taking a bath. The medicinal power enters the body along the pores and strengthens cells. My whole body felt numb, as if there were countless ants crawling on me. especially the right hand, soaked in water. The wound recovered at an extraordinary speed, and the damaged muscles were also repaired quickly. The first time I used it, Mizuki didn't expect the effect to be so good. Until in the bathtub, the blue color completely dissipated and the medicinal effect was exhausted. He raised his right hand and saw that the injury was mostly healed, and the medicine still remained in his body to continue repairing the damage. I'm afraid I don't have to wait until tomorrow morning. My right hand will be completely healed. Mizuki's eyes lit up. This medicine can not only strengthen the body, but also restore the body's damage. Produced by the system, it is indeed amazing. Early the next morning, Dasna went to repair the bridge. Naruto and Sasuke haven't woken up yet, so Mizuki leaves little Sakura behind to take care of Naruto and Sasuke while also preventing Cardo's men from causing harm. On the bridge, Mizuki had nothing to do and continued to study Genjutsu. Hell. Unlike ninjutsu and taijutsu, Genjutsu is a technique that attacks the enemy's 5 senses, causing them to fall into hallucinations. The principle of illusion is to disrupt the enemy's chakra, thereby disrupting the enemy's 5 senses. Depending on the medium used, illusions are divided into visual illusions, auditory illusions, and tactile illusions. Visual illusions, such as Nirvana technique, Tsukuyomi, etc. Auditory illusions, such as Tuyuya's magic. Sound lock. Tactile illusions, such as Izanami. Magic. Hell is a technique that has never appeared in the ninja world. Mizuki still doesn't understand the basic principle of this technique. No idea. Firstly, S-level illusions are very difficult to learn. Secondly, he had never been exposed to any illusions before and had no foundation in illusions. If you want to learn, it cannot be done in a day or two. It seems that we have to start with simple illusions first. I originally didn't plan to learn the Narukumi technique, but now it seems that I can't do it without learning. Time soon reached noon, and Naruto, Sasuke, and little Sakura came together to deliver food. Naruto frowned, wondering about something. Sasuke's face was dark and he looked very thoughtful. "What's wrong with you? You are so worried?" Mizuki asked. Naruto said, "Master Mizuki, I don't know what happened. My chakra has become difficult to control again. Moreover, the total amount of chakra is also much less." Mizuki said, "You have been hit by Orochimaru's 5 elements seal. I'm sorry, but I don't know how to break this seal. I can only wait until you return to the village and ask Hokage to help you break it." Naruto was sad. I still have to wait until I return to the village to solve it. Then it's not like I can't do anything during this period of time. It makes me unhappy to think that only a fool like Sasuke gets to take the limelight. After Naruto finished speaking, he looked at Sasuke provocatively, looking very unconvinced. "Mizuki, although the 5 elements seal has an impact on you, it doesn't completely restrict you. It's just that you need to form a seal to release the ninjutsu, so the speed is just a little slower." Sasuke did not argue with Naruto, but looked at Mizuki and said, "I want to become stronger." Naruto was not to be outdone and said, "Yes, I also want to become stronger. Master Mizuki, please teach us new ninjutsu." Mizuki smiled and said, "It seems that this encounter with Orochimaru has made you realize what a real strong person is. If you want to learn new ninjutsu, no problem, but first, I'll have to finish lunch." After the meal, Mizuki got up. Naruto immediately looked expectant, and Sasuke, although he didn't show it too obviously, looked at Mizuki seriously. Little Sakura, on the other hand, has no interest. She just concentrates on studying the 5 elements seal. She also glances at the back of Sasuke's neck from time to time, her eyes full of concern and determination. Mizuki shook his head and said, "Now I want to teach you a powerful ninjutsu, but I have a request." Naruto immediately asked, "What's the request?" "Mizuki, after you learn this ninjutsu, you are not allowed to tell others or use it before the finals of the Chunin exam." "Why?" Naruto was puzzled. Mizuki chuckled. "No reason, either agree or I won't teach." Sasuke, "I promise." Naruto, "Then I agree." Mizuki nodded, stretched out his right hand, and the next moment, Rasengan took shape. Naruto and Sasuke both stared at Rasengan, but they couldn't feel the power of Rasengan. Mizuki walked to the railing and threw the Rasengan down. In the blink of an eye, Rasengan hit the sea water, and then the sea surface exploded, the sea water exploded 30 to 40 meters, and the entire bridge shook. Okay, that's awesome, Naruto exclaimed with his eyes widened. Sasuke was also stunned. This jutsu is called Rasengan. It is a Muji ninjutsu developed by the 4th Hokage. It is rated a level. Sasuke asked. After we learn the Mu Seal ninjutsu, don't we need to form seals? Mizuki nodded. There is a stronger advanced version of this technique, which we will discuss later. Rasengan is more difficult to learn and is divided into 3 stages. Now we start the first stage of training. He took out a water balloon, crushed it, and then explained it in detail. Okay, this is how it works. Now you can practice it yourself. When you can use chakra to control the water flow and burst the water ball, when will the first stage of practice be successful? Mizuki took out 2 water balloons and handed them over. But just halfway through handing it over, he suddenly thought of something, and then quickly crushed the water balloon. Ninzuo. Mizuki was so risky that he almost wasted 2 opportunities to return. I accidentally broke the last 2 water balloons. In that case, you can go buy them at the market. Sasuke's eyes twitched and he was speechless. Naruto didn't know what politeness was, and said loudly, "You obviously broke it on purpose, okay." Mizuki chuckled and ignored him. By the way, for such an advanced ninjutsu as Rasengan, what will the system return? Also, if I teach Naruto and Sasuke Rasengan at the same time, will the returns stack up? Mizuki waited for a long time, but did not wait for the system's return report. Won't you return it? Do we have to wait until they learn Rasengan? The system's return method is not fixed. For example, if you teach Sasuke the method of treading water, the system will return you the method of stepping on air. If you teach Sakura the Narukumi technique method, the system will return magic. Hell training method. The return of these training methods cannot directly improve Mizuki's strength. Mizuki needs to practice on his own to master them. Besides, when it comes to guiding Sasuke to practice hearing and positioning, the system directly returns the echolocation and masters it directly, and his strength is immediately improved. The difference between the two, in short, is that one is the design drawing and the other is the finished product. For Mizuki, it would be best to return the finished product. There is no need to spend time practicing, which saves worry and effort. Naruto and Sasuke went to the market and bought water balloons, and then practiced on the bridge. In less than 2 hours, the water balloon in Sasuke's hand burst. When Naruto heard the sound and knew that Sasuke had completed the first stage of training, he roared angrily. I want to be a Hokage man, how can I lose to Sasuke? I don't accept it. Unfortunately, his chakra was disrupted by the 5 elements seal, and his chakra control ability was greatly weakened. Although Mizuki had explained the trick very clearly, Naruto was unable to control the chakra, which resulted in him being unable to control the chakra spinning irregularly in his hands. Sasuke-kun, that's amazing. Little Sakura has put down the 5 elements seal training scroll and is cheering for Sasuke from the side. When Naruto saw this, his jealousy boiled over, and jealousy rushed into his brain. He gasped, chakra surged out crazily, and the water ball in his hand shook violently. Sasuke, I'm going to break you. It turns out that he mistook the water ball for Sasuke, and he wanted to crush the water ball and let out a bad breath the next moment. Sasuke glanced at the water ball dangling in Naruto's hand and smiled unconsciously. This smile happened to be seen by Naruto. His already jealous heart exploded into infinite rage. Sasuke, why are you laughing? Sasuke said calmly, the end of the crane. Naruto roared, if I hadn't been broken by that Orochimaru seal and disrupted the chakra, I would have been faster than you. Sasuke, yeah, I'm a jerk, I just like to make excuses. Even if you're in good condition, I'm faster than you. I'm faster than you. I'm faster than you. Mizuki raised his eyebrows. 2 brats with no hair at all were competing against each other here. It's immoral. As they continued to argue, little Sakura also joined the battlefield. Idiot Naruto, Sasuke-kun is a genius, he is definitely faster than you. Mizuki. He coughed dryly and began to reflect on his own heart. It is said that a person with an evil heart will see evil in everything he sees. You can't blame me for this. If you want to blame it, you can only blame it on the decline of the world. Soon, the three of them got tired of arguing and finally stopped. Sasuke snorted at Naruto and said to Mizuki, I have successfully practiced the first stage, and it's time to start the second stage. Mizuki nodded and said, yes, then next, I will explain the second stage of Rasengan training. Naruto, be quiet, come and listen together, so you don't have to say it twice. He took out the ball and finished explaining the second stage of practice. The system still did not issue a return report. Until dark, Naruto didn't break the water ball. On the other hand, Sasuke's ball was slightly deformed. Naruto was unconvinced, but there was nothing he could do. On the way back, he looked like a defeated rooster, keeping his head down and saying nothing. The next day, after practicing all day, Naruto's water ball still didn't break. Sasuke's ball, on the other hand, is deforming more and more. Seeing little Sakura cheering for Sasuke, Naruto felt a little autistic. At night, when everyone was asleep, Naruto got up secretly, went to the beach, and practiced hard alone. On the roof, Mizuki watched this scene with a smile on his lips. There are many reasons why Naruto can become the protagonist of Hokage and the hero who ultimately saves the ninja world. Son of the fourth generation, Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, the reincarnation of Ashura. But Mizuki always feels that these are not the main reasons. The perseverance of being the tail end of a crane but not being ruined is the most important factor in Naruto's success. Mizuki thinks that he is not as good as Naruto. People with this kind of perseverance will succeed no matter what their origins. Then, help him again. Naruto held the water ball in his hand and practiced over and over again, trying hard to control the chakra to rotate randomly. But no matter how hard he tried, the result was a mess. Orochimaru, just wait. When I become stronger, I will dry you into a snake and feed it to the cat. Just then, a meow came from the side. Then a fat orange jumped out from the corner of the room, jumped up, knocked the water balloon from Naruto's hand to the ground, and started playing with it. Hey, little kitten, don't play with my ball, it's for practice. Naruto shouted anxiously. But Orange didn't pay any attention to him. He was having a great time playing with his two cat paws, one on the left and one on the right. As the two cat paws kept playing with the water ball, the water in the water ball began to rotate irregularly. Suddenly there was a pop sound, the water ball burst and water flowed all over the floor. Juzuo jumped up in surprise with a meow, turned around and ran away. When Naruto saw this, instead of blaming the cat, his eyes shone. Ha ha ha, I thought of it. Kitty, thank you so much. Where is your home? I will buy dried fish for you to eat tomorrow. He immediately took out a new water balloon, holding it in his left hand, and poured chakra into it. At the same time, his right hand also released chakra, forming a chakra vortex in the palm of his hand. Then he kept touching the water ball in his left hand with his right hand, and used the chakra vortex in his right hand to affect the rotation of the chakra in the water ball. Because the right hand touches different places, all at different angles, irregularly. The water in the water polo began to rotate irregularly at various angles. The surface of the water polo deformed violently, and then there was a pop sound. Broken. Haha, it worked. Naruto cheered loudly. The orange cat jumps onto the roof and with a bang, transforms into Mizuki. Mizuki smiled as he watched Naruto pop the water balloon. That's right, that's right. He's very smart. He can understand everything at once. It's not in vain for me to give up my dignity and become a cat. Early the next morning, while having breakfast, Naruto excitedly announced that he had completed the first stage of Rasengan training and demonstrated it in public. Little Sakura. Tisk, even with two hands, it's still not as good as Sasuke-kun. Sasuke, however, took a serious look at Naruto. There was no mockery in his eyes, but a hint of recognition. Mizuki smiled and said, it doesn't matter if the cat is black or white, it is a good cat if it can catch mice. Naruto can think of using two hands, which can be said to be very clever. Naruto scratched his head and chuckled. Actually, I have to thank the cat last night. If it weren't for it, I wouldn't have thought of using two hands. I don't know where that cat lives. I want to buy a lot of dried fish for it to eat. Mizuki touched his nose awkwardly. At this moment, Inari suddenly said, last night, I saw him turn into a cat, a big fat orange cat. As he spoke, he pointed at Mizuki. Everyone immediately looked at Mizuki. Naruto was shocked. Ah, Master Mizuki, did you transform that fat cat? Of course Mizuki wouldn't admit it. No, Inari got it wrong. If I were to guide you in your practice, I would just explain it to you face to face. There is no need to go to the trouble of turning into a cat to inspire you. Naruto nodded. Yeah, that's true. Inari. I read that right, it's him. Mizuki. No, you saw it wrong, or you dreamed it. Sasuke glanced at Mizuki. As a member of the Uchiha clan, Sasuke had a delicate mind. He always felt that Mizuki was lying. Did he really inspire Naruto by turning into a cat? But why does he know that using 2 hands can improve the success rate of chakra's random rotation? Only a fool can come up with such a stupid method. He's not stupid, so how could he think of such a method? Sasuke takes Doran as his own. Why use 2 hands when you can do something with 1 hand? It's not necessary at all. For the next few days, Sasuke and Naruto worked hard to break the ball. The first stage is the random rotation of chakra. The second stage is to inject more chakra to increase the power. It also tests chakra control ability. Sasuke was way ahead, but Naruto wasn't far behind. Sasuke's chakra amount is not as much as Naruto's. He practices less frequently every day and runs out of blue after practicing dozens of times. Naruto has more chakra. Although he is behind Sasuke in terms of progress, he can practice it 200 to 300 times a day. Quality is not enough, quantity comes. It doesn't matter if you run fast because you don't have enough endurance. Although I am a slow runner, I have enough endurance. If you run for 1 hour, I will run for 3 hours. The 2 of them chased each other, and no one gave in to the other. The efficiency of their cultivation was greatly improved. Finally, it took 5 days for the 2 of them to complete the second stage of practice on the same day, one after the other. Sasuke was only 10 minutes faster than Naruto. Sasuke-kun, what do you think? Naruto, are you convinced? Little Sakura looked at Sasuke with admiration, and made all kinds of sarcasm towards Naruto. This time Naruto just smiled and didn't refute. Sasuke, on the other hand, looked sullen and unhappy. Sakura-chan, stop talking. Hearing the displeasure in Sasuke's words, little Sakura was puzzled. It's clear that Sasuke-kun is happy, why aren't you happy? Mizuki shook his head aside, thinking that this little Sakura is really a bit of a brainless fan of Sasuke. It was obvious that Naruto was faster in the second stage of training. Because when Naruto changed his water ball to a leather ball, Sasuke had been practicing with a leather ball for more than a day. Naruto started late, but was only 10 minutes away from the final score. It's strange that Sasuke is happy. Very good. The second phase was completed very well. Then, the next step is the third and final phase. Without any external objects, let the chakra gather in the palm of your hand and make random rotations at various angles. If you can do it, Rasengan will do it. The bridge will be built in only 3 days. Can you learn how to do it before the bridge is built? When people become accustomed to dependence, it is not that easy to get rid of them. With the help of the space limitations of water balls and rubber balls, Sasuke and Naruto have been able to control chakra to rotate randomly. But it's difficult when you have nothing in your hands. Just like primary school students practicing calligraphy, they practice in the rice grid according to the copybook, and the shape of the calligraphy will not be bad. But if he is asked to practice on a white paper, the written characters will immediately return to their original shape. I saw only the 2 of them, with chakra running around in their hands. Although it was spinning, it couldn't gather into a ball at all. Mizuki was not surprised and stopped giving any guidance. At this point, you are actually only 1 step away from success. If you practice more, you will naturally master it. According to Mizuki's estimate, 3 days should be enough. But genius is always unexpected. Only 1 day later, Naruto succeeded. I've learned it, little Sakura-chan, look at my balls. Early in the morning, as soon as Naruto got up, he ran to the kitchen with excitement on his face and showed the Rasengan in front of little Sakura. Suddenly, there was a lot of wind blowing in the kitchen. Idiot, little Sakura punched Naruto on the head, killing the Rasengan. Do you know that it is dangerous to cast Rasengan here? What if you damage the house? Naruto covered his head with a sad expression on his face. I was so happy that I forgot about it. However, I have learned Rasengan, little Sakura-chan. Now you know who is more talented between me and Sasuke, right? Little Sakura wanted to refute, but she had nothing to say at this time. She was also surprised. She used to think that Naruto was a fool who couldn't learn anything, but she didn't expect that he could learn Rasengan so quickly. Just then, Sasuke also came to the kitchen. Naruto immediately turned the gun and said, "Yo, Sasuke, I have mastered the Rasengan. How about it, are you surprised? Do you feel that you are rubbish and useless? Hey, I can't help it. The world of genius is so difficult to understand. I can't envy you, little Sakura. ###. She planned to punch Naruto again. At this time, Naruto really needed a beating. Sasuke glanced at Naruto and snorted proudly. Without saying anything, he just raised his hands with his palms upward. The next moment, a Rasengan appeared in the palms of both hands. Little Sakura's attention shifted directly from Naruto's head to Sasuke's face. "Ah, Sasuke-kun, you are so awesome." What I was shouting in my heart was, "Sasuke-kun is so handsome, I want to give birth to a monkey for you." Sasuke ignored little Sakura, glanced at Naruto again, and snorted, "You think you're the only one who knows how to stay up late at night to practice?" Naruto coughed twice and said, "What, this is the kitchen, Rasengan is very dangerous, please disarm it quickly, don't destroy the house." Little Sakura scolded, "Idiot Naruto, you are jealous of Sasuke-kun's talent. You can create a Rasengan by using both hands together, and Sasuke-kun, you can make a Rasengan with one hand. You are not qualified to compete with Sasuke-kun to see who is a genius. Naruto is autistic. This is too much of a double standard. Of course, he has long been used to it, ever since he was in ninja school." At this time, Mizuki, who was going downstairs, remembered the system prompts in his mind. Ding! Host grants disciple Uzumaki Naruto A-level Ninjutsu Rasengan, triggering 3000 times return. Host granted his disciple Uchiha Sasuke the A-level Ninjutsu Rasengan, triggering a 3000 times return. Since the grant type and return multiple are the same, the two returns will be superimposed. Congratulations to Host, triggering a 10,000-fold return, and obtaining SS level secrets, 6 paths. Yin-Yang Rasengan. SS level mystery, 6 paths. Yin-Yang Rasengan. Mizuki's eyes widened and his head was buzzing. With the addition of the two words 6 paths, it is obvious that this technique has become otherworldly. Moreover, the words yin and yang are not used casually. Chakra, in addition to the 5 basic attributes of fire, thunder, wind, earth, and water, also has yin escape attributes and yang escape attributes. Yin escape represents spiritual power, and yin escape technique can create forms from the invisible. Genjutsu, the secret arts of the Yamanaka clan, and the secret arts of the Nara clan belong to the category of yin escape. Yang escape represents physical strength, and yang escape technique can inject life into the body. The expansion jutsu of the Akamaiki clan, the body healing and medical ninjutsu of the Senju clan, etc., belong to the category of yang release. Yin and yang escape are combined into one, which is the yin and yang escape technique. Once you master the power of yin and yang, you master the power of creation. It is said that the 9-tailed beasts were created by dividing the 10 tails chakra from Sage of 6 paths and then using the yin-yang technique. Jutsu based on yin-yang release, such as Truth-Seeking Ball, can ignore all ninjutsu. Except for senjutsu, any other ninjutsu can be resolved by the Truth-Seeking Ball. Even impure world reincarnation's body cannot resist. After being hit, the body cannot heal, and in severe cases, the body will be wiped out. Am I invincible now? In the current ninja world, there is no 6 paths Obito, no 6 paths Dance King, no cheating Naruto and Sasuke, who is still my opponent. Mizuki felt dizzy. Happiness comes too suddenly. At this time, the system continued to introduce 6 paths. The Yin-Yang Rasengan contains the power of Yin-Yang escape. Its destructive power is comparable to the Truth-Seeking Ball, and it ignores everything except senjutsu and the Yin-Yang escape technique, which also belongs to the 6 paths. Note that Host has not mastered Yin-Yang escape. Every time he uses this technique, he will consume a lot of mental and physical strength. He will be extremely weak after using it and cannot get out of bed for a week, and he cannot exercise strenuously for 2 weeks. Mizuki. It actually has side effects. This thing can only be used as a trump card. But even so, Mizuki still felt very happy. Such a trump card is rare. In the kitchen, breakfast is simple. After everyone finished eating, they were ready to set off. The bridge would be completed in 2 days, and Dasna was very motivated. But before he could go out, there was a knock on the door. After Tsunami opened the door, she relaxed her vigilance when she saw a strange person outside the door, but wearing Konoha's forehead protector. Are you also a ninja from Konoha? Who are you looking for? This is the home of Master Bridge Builder Tatsuna, right? I am Konoha Jonin Kakashi, here to take over the mission of Team 7. The people in the room heard the sound and Naruto immediately got up to look. Teacher Kakashi, it's really you, why are you here? Kakashi said. I have been ordered by Lord Hokage to take over from Mizuki and led you on the mission to protect Dasuna. Naruto asked in confusion. Why are Grandpa 3rd generation doing so much trouble? Master Mizuki is taking us very well. Why do we ask you, Mr. Kakashi, to come over? Kakashi. But this is Lord Hokage's order, related to the death of 3 Anbu. Lord Hokage needs to recall Mizuki to understand the situation at that time. 3 Anbu. Dead, Naruto exclaimed and asked, Kakashi-sensei, you mean those 3 uncles with masks are dead? Kakashi nodded. Yes, they are dead. Orochimaru also sold the bodies of the 3 of them to the money exchange. Naruto's eyes widened in disbelief. 3 living people, just gone. Orochimaru. Naruto gritted his teeth at the mention of the name. Inside the room, Mizuki narrowed his eyes slightly. Halfway through the mission, it was about to end, but 3rd generation asked Kakashi to take over. After thinking about it, Mizuki was not surprised. After all, 3 Anbu died, how could Konoha not do anything at all? It doesn't matter. Anyway, I didn't kill the 3 Anbu. Even if he falls out with Konoha, Mizuki is not afraid. Although Konoha is strong, he is not a chicken who can be slaughtered by others. If he cannot be beaten, he can run away. After Kakashi entered the room, everyone greeted him, and Mizuki said, Kakashi-senpai, Orochimaru's target this time is Sasuke. In fact, as soon as Kakashi entered the house, he saw the curse mark on Sasuke's neck. He nodded and said, Orochimaru's curse seal will corrode the human body. Later I will use the evil sealing seal to seal the curse seal. Although I don't know what Orochimaru's purpose is, as an S-class rebellious ninja of Konoha, Orochimaru's appearance is very important to Sir Hokage. So I was sent here to take over from you and led them on their mission. You return to the village immediately and explain the situation to Lord Hokage. Mizuki nodded and added. Orochimaru also placed a 5-element seal on Naruto's abdomen, causing Naruto chakra to lose control. Kakashi nodded. I can't handle this matter. I can only wait for Naruto to return to the village and find Master Hokage to unlock the seal. Before leaving, he told Kakashi about Zabuza's situation, and then Mizuki set off. Leave the Kingdom of Waves and set foot on the Land of Fire. Along the way, he hummed quietly and walked toward Konoha alone and unhurriedly. What I was thinking about was how to deal with the 3rd generation after returning to Konoha. To be honest, he didn't want to leave Konoha. There are many geniuses in Konoha, and the return multiplier awarded is affected by the disciple's talent. Especially Nazuo, the 2 protagonists must not be lost. Only in Konoha could he get the best out of the system. When the time comes, pass all the blame to Orochimaru. Let me properly reveal the plan for Konoha's collapse so that the 3rd generation will not be distracted from dealing with me. Suddenly, he paused and turned to look at the woods to the side. You 3, what do you want from me? He was humming all the way, not because he was in high spirits, but because he was on echolocation alert. Just now, 3 figures broke into the echolocation range, and they looked menacing. Having discovered us so quickly, it seems that as the intelligence said, he is not a simple chunin. Accompanied by the sound of voices, 2 men wearing black and red cloud windbreakers walked out from behind the tree. Mizuki's eyes suddenly narrowed. Uchiha Itachi and Hoshigaki Kisame from the Akatsuki organization. Although both of them wore hats and covered most of their faces, Mizuki recognized their identities at a glance. Most importantly, Kisami's characteristics are obvious. Carrying the bandaged sword Samahata on his back, if Mizuki couldn't recognize it, he would have spent so many years watching Hokage in vain. For the first time, Mizuki closed his eyes. He doesn't care about Hoshigaki Kisame, and he's not afraid of the sword Samahata or anything like that. So what if you can suck chakra, can you touch me? And with Kisami's seal speed, before he even used his ninjutsu, Mizuki's teleportation and detonating talisman were enough to blow him up 2 or 3 times. Mizuki doesn't care about Kisame, but he doesn't dare to have any contempt for Uchiha Itachi. Compared to Mizuki, Uchiha Itachi's Sharingan illusion is the most troublesome. With ordinary illusions, Mizuki won't hit it at all thanks to his super chakra control ability. The principle of illusion is to disrupt the chakra in the enemy's body, thereby achieving the purpose of controlling the 5 senses. Mizuki's super chakra control makes it impossible for those who cast illusions to disrupt his chakra. Therefore, ordinary illusions cannot affect him at all. But the pupil illusion type magic is different. The essence of pupil-like illusions is no longer as simple as disturbing the chakra, but directly skipping the chakra and disturbing the mental power, which essentially makes people fall into hallucinations. Uchiha Itachi is a master of illusions, and there is Tsukuyomi, who is said to be invincible, so Mizuki has to guard against him. Although his soul traveled through time and absorbed Mizuki's soul and memory, his spiritual power is stronger than that of ordinary people. But he didn't dare to gamble. If Tsukuyomi is hit and can't remove it, wouldn't he be putting himself in danger? Therefore, after realizing that it was Uchiha Itachi, he immediately closed his eyes. Anyway, with echolocation, it is possible without relying on vision. As long as you can see the other party's movements. Of course, this is not safe. Uchiha Itachi also has the right eye pupil technique Amaterasu. Everything his eyes look at will be ignited by the flames of Amaterasu. Therefore, Mizuki has made up his mind to leave after saying a few words. After returning to Konoha, there might be a fight to be fought. It would be bad if you get hurt here. Under the bamboo hat, surprise flashed in Uchiha Itachi's eyes. With Itachi's intelligence, the moment Mizuki closed his eyes, he realized that Mizuki was guarding him. He is afraid of Sharingan, but I haven't shown my true face yet and my eyes are covered by the bamboo hat. How does he know that I have Sharingan? Does he know me? Uchiha Itachi was puzzled. After Itachi graduated from ninja school, he joined Anbu. Except at home, he always wore a mask and did not show his true face. Mizuki, on the other hand, is just an ordinary chunin, a commoner, and has no connection with Itachi. Logically speaking, Mizuki shouldn't know Itachi. There is something wrong with this behavior of closing your eyes before seeing the face. You two seem to have come to see me specially. What's the matter? Mizuki asked. Itachi and Kisame took off their hats and looked at Mizuki. Kisame was very unhappy and said, "Hey, you are talking to us with your eyes closed, aren't you very rude?" Mizuki, "You shark guy, I don't know you, why should I be polite to you?" Kisame, "I opened my mouth, but unfortunately, I was speechless." What he said made sense, and I was speechless. At this time Itachi said, "We are from the Akatsuki organization. I am Uchiha Itachi. This person next to me is Hoshigaki Kisame. We are here to invite you to join the Akatsuki organization. The Akatsuki organization already has information about your capabilities. You fought Orochimaru without losing. You mastered the space ninjutsu of swapping places with others. Your strength has reached the requirements of the Akatsuki organization and you can become a formal member of the Akatsuki organization." Mizuki was surprised. How did the Akatsuki organization know about my information? Were any members of the Akatsuki organization present during the previous battle with Orochimaru? He thought of something and suddenly said loudly, "It seems that you know a lot about me." The louder the sound, the farther the sound waves travel, and the wider the range covered by echolocation. Then he discovered that there was a person growing on a tree 60 meters away. A weird-shaped one with jagged pitcher plants growing out of its neck, shrouding its head. It's black-white Zetsu. From this point of view, when he fought Orochimaru before, he would definitely hide aside and watch the whole battle. Zetsu discovered Mizuki's ability, and Fei told Pain, and then the Akatsuki organization knew about it. Mizuki was wary. Ju's ability is too special, he appears and disappears, and he is hard to guard against. No matter what you do in the future, you must be careful not to let more information leak to Zetsu. Uchiha Itachi, Konoha's S-level rebellious ninja, once slaughtered the Uchiha clan. Hoshigaki Kisame, Kurigakure's S-level rebellious ninja, is the holder of Samahata, the great sword of the seven blades. It's such an honor for a strong man like you to invite me. Unfortunately, I am a Konoha shinobi and have no interest in betraying Konoha and joining other organizations. Joining the Akatsuki organization has no benefits at all for Mizuki. Moreover, Mizuki completely disagrees with the philosophy of the Akatsuki organization. What makes the ninja world feel pain can promote peace in the ninja world. There must be something wrong with your brain. And Obito's infinite Tsukuyomi plan is just self-deception. What kind of peace is illusory peace? Itachi and Kisame were not surprised by Mizuki's rejection. Itachi said, "As far as I know, you are not living well in Konoha. The third Hokage does not like you for unknown reasons. First, I arranged for you to be an assistant teacher at the ninja school, and the treatment was extremely poor. And I sent Anbu to monitor you and guard you closely. And you were assassinated in Konoha. When you were on a mission to exterminate mountain bandits more than half a month ago, you were intercepted and killed by 3 rude ninjas. Even your fiancé died. Is Konoha like this worth your continued sacrifice for it?" Itachi's words made Mizuki murmur in his heart. "What do you mean, you idiot? Joining the Akatsuki organization is just for Konoha. Since you are on Konoha's side, why are you trying so hard to persuade me to betray Konoha? Are you afraid that if I stay in Konoha, it will cause damage to Konoha?" Thinking of this, Mizuki became even more speechless towards Uchiha Itachi. Is it necessary to be so devoted to Konoha? He even wondered if Uchiha Itachi had fallen into Shisui's distinguished heavenly gods. Itachi continued. "This time, 3 Konoha Anbu died in the land of waves. Third Hokage calls you back and will definitely hold you accountable. Mizuki, those 3 Anbu were killed by Orochimaru, it's none of my business." Itachi, "Anbu is dead but you are alive. The third generation will definitely accuse you of colluding with Orochimaru and label you a traitorous ninja. No matter how you defend yourself, it will be useless. The ninjas and civilians in the village will also agree with the third generation. If back in Konoha, you will be driven to a dead end. Although with your strength, you can make effective resistance and even cause huge casualties to Konoha. However, Konoha is outnumbered and you will definitely die in the end." Mizuki raised an eyebrow. "You say so much because you are afraid that if you return to Konoha and have a falling out, you will cause casualties to Konoha, right? What a Uchiha Itachi, really dedicated to protecting Konoha. Okay, stop talking nonsense, it's not difficult for me to join the Akatsuki organization. Catch me and defeat me, and I will agree to become a member of the Akatsuki organization." Mizuki chuckled, and the next moment his body disappeared, leaving only a fallen leaf floating to the ground. Mizuki's body has already appeared 50 meters away. But as soon as he appeared, he immediately disappeared again and flashed 50 meters forward again. Just like that, Mizuki disappeared from the sight of Itachi and Kisame in a blink of an eye. How do you catch this?" Kisame was dumbfounded. Itachi said, "It seems that his ability is not only to exchange places with people, but also to exchange places with objects. He swaps places with fallen leaves 50 meters away and moves forward 50 meters in an instant. This ability is even easier to use than 4th Hokage's Flying Thunder God." Kisame, Itachi-san, and Angel, what should we do next? At this time, Konan also walked out of the forest. Konan said, "Since he wants to return to Konoha and die, then we don't need to worry about him." Itachi said, "His ability cannot be used infinitely, and it will definitely consume chakra. If we catch up, we have a chance to catch him. If such a person joins our Akatsuki organization, it will be of great help to the organization's future plans. Besides, Konoha already knows how powerful Mizuki is. If third generation changes its strategy and does not kill him, but reuses him, Konoha's strength will definitely increase. There will be one more enemy that the organization will have to deal with in the future. So my opinion is, if he doesn't agree to join, then kill him." Kisame turned his head and glanced at Itachi in confusion. He felt that Itachi was a little abnormal today, and his murderous intention seemed too serious. Conan asked directly, Itachi, I have felt the murderous intention in you from just now. Do you have any trouble with this Mizuki? Itachi was silent for a moment, and then said, I have nothing against him. I just hate Konoha. I am happy to kill Konoha's ninjas myself. Conan. That's good. I thought you were worried that he would cause damage to Konoha when he returned to Konoha, so you wanted to kill him. In that case, let's catch up. If he really doesn't want to join the Akatsuki organization, then kill him. Bring his body back and give it to Shie. That way his abilities can also be used by the Akatsuki organization. After Conan made his decision, the three immediately launched a teleportation and pursued Mizuki in the direction he left. Mizuki moved forward 300 meters by changing his appearance. The distance is about the same. They shouldn't continue to catch up, right? Mizuki jumped on the branches in the forest and sped up. But after a while, he heard the sound of clothes rustling in the wind from behind him. Mizuki turned his head and caught a glimpse of Itachi and Kisame chasing after him from the corner of his eye. They were blinking at extremely fast speeds. Conan even used the dance of paper to create a pair of wings behind him and flew after him. In comparison, Mizuki, who has not even learned the body flicker technique, can only jump forward in the jungle like a slow-moving old monkey. It's endless, right? He stopped and turned to face the three, his eyes closed again. I told you that I have no interest in joining the Akatsuki organization. Why are you so persistent? The three Itachis also stopped. Itachi said, I am a rebellious ninja of Konoha and I hate Konoha extremely. You are a ninja of Konoha. If you don't join the Akatsuki organization, you are my enemy and I will kill you. Your body will be made into a puppet and will continue to be driven by the Akatsuki organization. Mizuki smiled and said, I have the apparition technique. Even if I can't defeat you, I can retreat at any time. You want to kill me, haha. Itachi was expressionless and gave an ultimatum. I ask you again, do you want to join the Akatsuki organization? Although Mizuki closed his eyes, Itachi's expression clearly appeared in his mind. Uchiha Itachi, I appreciate you, but since you want to kill me, I won't be polite. As soon as he finished speaking, the three detonating charms had been ignited, and the teleportation was activated, and the positions of Mizuki and Itachi instantly switched. Boom! The explosion resounded through the forest. Uchiha Itachi was at the center of the explosion and had no time to escape. But the next moment, the fire dissipated and a group of crows flew out. These crows gathered on the side, swaying, and reunited into Uchiha Itachi's body. Mizuki had no time to admire Itachi's technique, because at this time, he heard a hissing sound behind him. What a Uchiha Itachi! He actually arranged the detonating charm in advance. The next moment, there was an explosion behind Mizuki. At the critical moment, Mizuki transformed again and changed places with Kisame. In order to prevent Kisame from imitating Itachi and arranging the detonating charm in advance, Mizuki and Kisame exchanged positions and immediately used disapparition on a stone 5 meters away. In less than 0.5 seconds, Mizuki used 3 consecutive transformations. The first time is to attack, the second time is to escape, and the third time is to prevent danger. When he stopped, Mizuki noticed a large area of pain in his back. Even though he reacted quickly, the detonating talisman arranged by Uchiha Itachi still affected Mizuki. The clothes on his back were blown into pieces and his skin was burned over a large area. At that moment, if it had been 0.01 seconds slower, Mizuki would have been seriously injured or even killed directly. How cruel! Mizuki admired Itachi's fighting wisdom and also admired Itachi's ruthless determination. The contempt in his heart was completely restrained. At the same time, Kisame, who had been replaced by Mizuki, was enveloped in the flames of the explosion and let out a shrill scream. But when the firelight dissipated, Kisame's body turned into water and flowed all over the floor. Water body. Mizuki's mouth twitched. He took the initiative to attack and used disapparition 3 times in succession. As a result, neither Itachi nor Kisame lost a hair, but he was injured instead. I'm the clown myself. The inexhaustible tactic of disembodiment hit a wall today. This is the negative consequence of the leakage of one's own intelligence. The enemy knows the apparition technique, and as long as they are not stupid, they will think of ways to deal with it. There is no invincible technique. Overconfidence leads to capsize in the gutter. My echolocation is not accurate enough after all, and there is still a delay. It is good to use it to sense the enemy's situation, but it is still too stretched for fighting. He didn't notice when Uchiha Itachi used the crow avatar to form the seal, or when Kisame used the water avatar to form the seal. If his eyes were open, the other party's movements would never escape his observation. Unfortunately, Mizuki could only fight with his eyes closed because he was afraid of Itachi's genjutsu. This is too passive. If you continue to fight, I'm afraid I will be played to death. Mizuki felt aggrieved, but there was nothing he could do about it. After a confrontation, he suffered a big loss and was even injured. Since time travel, he has never suffered such a big loss. He felt that he had to go. As expected of Uchiha Itachi, I give in. You guys are great and I am no match for you, so I'm leaving. He said very bachelorly, and then jumped to the treetop. Itachi said, you can't walk away. Although the apparition technique is flexible, it will also consume chakra. How long can your chakra last? Today, either join the Akatsuki organization or die. Mizuki smiled. Who said I only have the apparition technique? As soon as he finished speaking, he flashed a few times and was out of sight of the three people. Then he sprayed chakra from the soles of his feet and activated the air-stepping technique. He didn't fly high, but stayed close to the forest canopy, flying at a low altitude, maxing out his speed, and moving away quickly. In the forest, Uchiha Itachi said, he can't run far, let's keep chasing. After a brief encounter, Uchiha Itachi had a more intuitive view of Mizuki's strength. Not only can he transform, but he also masters perception ninjutsu. Even if he closes his eyes, he can accurately sense the position of surrounding objects. In addition, he also learned the fourth Hokage's Rasengan, and introduced a new one, adding wind-style chakra nature transformation to the Rasengan, which has increased its power and is as destructive as a tailed beast bomb. Mizuki's level of harm has been elevated to S level in Itachi's mind. The third generation doesn't want to see him at all. This time, 3 more Anbu died. When he returns, the third generation will definitely take the opportunity to attack. Mizuki will definitely resist and a war will break out. Regardless of the final outcome, Konoha will suffer huge losses. Itachi was worried. He only has one thought now, to catch Mizuki and kill him, and never let him return to Konoha and cause damage to the village. But Mizuki has already flown far away, how can he still catch up? Body flicker technique also consumes chakra and cannot be used unlimitedly. After chasing for 2 or 3 kilometers, there was still no trace of Mizuki, and Itachi began to get anxious. You can't catch up anymore, give up. Conan announced directly. Maybe he was faster than us, maybe he changed directions. In short, we have lost the pursuit. Itachi felt extremely regretful. If I had known better, I should have used Amaterasu and burned him to death. Unfortunately, there is no point in regretting. The only thing I can do now is to find an opportunity to send Mizuki's information back to Konoha so that Konoha can formulate a response method so that Konoha's losses can be minimized. It took 5 minutes for Mizuki to fly a distance of about 25 kilometers and consume 3 cards of chakra. At this point, his chakra has bottomed out. I had used Dissiparation many times before, which consumed a lot of chakra, plus the consumption of the air-stepping technique. Now, there is only 1 card of chakra left in Mizuki's body. The last 1 card of chakra cannot be consumed anymore and must be kept to prevent emergencies. He flew high into the sky and looked around. This distance is already very safe. Even if Uchiha Itachi and the others don't give up, they won't be able to catch up. There happens to be a small town ahead. I'd better go take care of the injury on my back. Entering the town, Mizuki found a hotel and took a bath with highly effective bodybuilding medicine. The medicine was as effective as ever, and by the next morning, the injury on his back was almost healed. Thinking back to yesterday's battle, Mizuki was still a little scared. I almost fell down. In the past, I was too arrogant. I always thought that I was invincible if I could transform. Although Uchiha Itachi wanted to kill me, he also taught me a lesson. Whether a person is strong or not cannot be judged only by chakra, ninjutsu, etc. Chakra and ninjutsu are all external factors, while internal factors are combat wisdom and combat experience. During yesterday's battle, Mizuki would never have imagined that Itachi would arrange the detonating talisman in advance. If he could realize it, he wouldn't be injured. This is the lack of fighting wisdom. In short, Mizuki was outgunned by Uchiha Itachi. Thinking about it makes me feel aggrieved and a little helpless. Ever since I gained the ability to change my form, I have only studied how to attack and how to kill enemies, but I have never carefully considered the weaknesses of this technique. So much so that I almost got myself killed by Uchiha Itachi. As the saying goes, if you know yourself and the enemy, you can fight 100 battles without danger. Mizuki didn't even become a confidant, so he suffered yesterday's defeat. After figuring this out, Mizuki suddenly felt that his thinking was clear, as if he had broken through some kind of realm. Also, if you want to be unafraid of Uchiha Itachi, you must solve the problem of genjutsu. If this problem is not solved, Mizuki will always be at a disadvantage as long as it meets Uchiha Itachi. Or, improve the accuracy of echolocation to the point where you can see the enemy's every move as clearly as dynamic vision. Or, enhance your spiritual power. As long as your spirit is strong enough to ignore the control of illusion, then you are not afraid. Echolocation, no matter how you improve it, will eventually have flaws, so don't consider it for now. Although the speed of sound is very fast, there is still a delay. The speed of sound in the air is 340 meters per second. If Mizuki is 30 meters away from the enemy, it will take about 0.1 seconds for the echo to reach his ears. In other words, there will be a 0.1 second delay from the time the opponent makes an action to when Mizuki sees it. In a battle between masters, 0.1 seconds will determine the final outcome. Therefore, echolocation is not suitable for use in combat. So, the only way to go is to improve your mental strength. The Yamanaka family and the Nara family should have drugs or methods that directly enhance mental strength. But Mizuki definitely can't get this secret medicine. The only thing he can rely on is the system. Get some refreshing medicine later, Sasuke and Sakura-chan, and give them one chance to return each. When they return to the village, they will deliver medicine. Go back to the village. I don't know what the third generation has prepared to welcome me. Mizuki also knew that third generation called him back to Konoha this time, nominally to ask about Anbu's death, but in fact, it was most likely to plan to kill him. Konoha has already suffered a lot because of Mizuki. Those who had lost before were all root ninjas. Danzo's die-hard fans, third generation, don't feel bad. But this time, the 3 Anbu who died were the mainstay of the village. Third generation's heart is definitely bleeding. But even so, Mizuki still plans to return to the village and fight for it again. He really wanted to stay in Konoha. There are many talents, a good environment, delicious food, but the boss is an indecisive old man who is easy to bully. Where to find a better place to live? As for being a rebel ninja, Mizuki would never take this path unless forced to do so. Look at Orochimaru, look at Zabuza, look at the shameful life they live, and you will know that it is not easy to be a traitor. Mizuki wasted no time on the road and accelerated towards Konoha. It takes 3 days to walk, but if you jump through the woods, you can get there in half a day. Soon, he arrived outside Kimura's gate. Azumo and Ziti, the gatekeepers, registered Mizuki to enter the village. Ziti said, "Chunin Mizuki, Lord Hokage, please report to the Hokage office immediately after you return." Mizuki nodded and walked towards the Hokage building. The news of Mizuki's return to the village reached third generation's desk immediately. Third generation narrowed his eyes, with a vague murderous intent flashing in his eyes. Inform Danzo and the 2 advisors to come, and then summon all Jonin and special Jonin who are on vacation in the village to the Hokage building to prepare for an emergency meeting. In addition, Anbu is ready for battle. When I give the order, he will immediately take down Mizuki. Third generation has made up its mind to do Mizuki no matter what today. The loss is too great. If Mizuki does not die, Konoha will definitely suffer greater losses in the future. He stood up, looked out the window at the peaceful Konoha village, and said to himself, I will never allow anyone to destroy the peace of the village. Even if there are signs, they must be eliminated. Just then, a crow flew directly towards the window where third generation stood. The third generation frowned, and the next moment, Anbu appeared and slashed at the crow. Wait! Sandao waved Anbu away. The crow flew to the windowsill, looking at third generation with dark eyes. The third generation also saw the letter tied to crow's leg. Is it Itachi's summoning crow? Itachi has never sent any news to the village for so many years. Why did he send the crow today? Third generation took off the letter from the crow's leg, unfolded it and read it. The more I look at it, the uglier third generation's face becomes. Transformation. Perception ninjutsu. You can clearly detect the movement around you even if you close your eyes. I learned the Rasengan of the fourth generation and added the wind-style chakra nature transformation, which is powerful enough to break Orochimaru's triple Rashomon. Reject Orochimaru's solicitation and confront him head-on. Itachi can't do anything to him. Seeing this, third generation's already wrinkled forehead became even more wrinkled at this moment. He originally thought that Mizuki would just change his appearance, but he didn't expect that Mizuki would hide so deeply. How on earth did he learn these ninjutsu? Third generation is confusing. He is obviously a chunin with mediocre qualifications and doesn't even have a mentor to guide him. There is no reason for him to be so strong. If the will of fire was planted in his heart when he was young, there might be another successor like Minato in Konoha. It's a pity that it was discovered too late. Third generation took a long drag on the pipe and blew out the smoke with a long sigh. It seems that we must take it down with lightning speed. If not, let him use the wind-style Rasengan, Konoha will suffer huge damage. With determination flashing in his eyes, third generation picked up the letter and continued reading. The news delivered by Uchiha Itachi, in addition to information about Mizuki, also included information about the Akatsuki organization. In the letter, there is information about the members of the Akatsuki organization, as well as analysis of their intelligence and capabilities. Pen, the self-proclaimed god, possesses the legendary Rinnegan. Third generation immediately thought of Jiraiya. Jiraiya once had 3 apprentices in the Land of Rain. One of them, Nagato, owned the Rinnegan. The masked man who calls himself Uchiha Madara, possesses space and time ninjutsu. Seeing this, third generation narrowed his eyes and unconsciously recalled the Night of Nine Tails 12 years ago. Who are you? The news from Uchiha Itachi shocked third generation. Mizuki's strength shocked him. The strength and composition of the Akatsuki organization shocked him even more. He turned his attention away from the Akatsuki organization and his top priority was to deal with Mizuki. Soon, all the senior officials and the unemployed jonin in the village arrived, and Anbu also made various arrangements. Third generation Sama, Mizuki has arrived downstairs. Anbu reported. Third generation nodded and said, take him to the conference room. He walked to his desk, put down his pipe, put on his Hokage hat, and walked towards the conference room. On the first floor of the Hokage building, there is a large conference room with a main conference table above. There are also rows of tables on the left and right rows. At this time, Shimura Danzo, Mitokado Homura, and Udatane Kaharu were already sitting at the main conference table. There are many jonin sitting on the 2 rows of conference tables below. Yuan Fei Asuma, Yuhi Hong, Might Guy, Anko, Morino Ihiki. When Mizuki walked into the conference room, everyone looked at him. Anbu took him to the center of the conference room and said, you wait here, Master Hokage will come back soon to preside over the meeting and ask you about your experience in the Kingdom of Waves. To be honest, Mizuki felt uncomfortable being stared at by so many people. Especially at the main conference table, Shimura Danzo's unabashed murderous eyes made him extremely disgusted. He has the urge to throw wind-style spiral shuriken. But there is no other way. If you want to stay in Konoha, you have to endure it. Soon, third generation came, walked to the main conference table, and sat in the main seat. Mizuki, tell me carefully about your collusion with Orochimaru and the murder of 3 Anbu. Third generation directly enlarged its moves. Mizuki was stunned when he heard this. Good guy, third generation is really determined to kill him. However, he didn't panic. Third generation Sama, you said I colluded with Orochimaru, is there any evidence? You said I murdered Anbu, what's the reason? Although you are Hokage, you can't judge me as betraying Konoha and colluding with Orochimaru without any evidence. The third generation scolded. The 3 Anbu are jonin, they are powerful, they are all dead, why is your Chunin not dead? There is only one reason. Orochimaru doesn't want to kill you. There is only one reason not to kill you. You and Orochimaru are accomplices. Mizuki smiled. Third generation is completely willing to take risks. The conference room also directly turned into a trial court. The two advisors frowned. Mitokado Homura said, Hiruzen, based on this alone, how can we conclude that he colluded with Orochimaru? Udatain Kaharu also said, yes, Hiruzen, how can this kind of inference be used as evidence of conviction? Danzo said, what Hiruzen said is correct. It is unreasonable for him to survive from Orochimaru. I can't think of any other reason why Orochimaru didn't kill him alone. The surrounding Jonin looked on with cold eyes. Everyone can see that third generation is targeting Mizuki and wants to put Mizuki to death. At this time, no one will stand up to speak against the third generation, and no one will support the third generation. Because, third generation really has no evidence. Mizuki defended himself. Third generation Sama, if it is true as you say, then Uzumaki Naruto, Uchiha Sasuke, and Haruno Sakura are all Orochimaru's accomplices. Orochimaru didn't kill them either. Third generation said coldly. The village will find out whether they are Orochimaru's accomplices. Mizuki was speechless. Third generation added. In addition, you secretly learned Rasengan, the Muji Ninjutsu invented by fourth Hokage. This is also an unforgivable sin. All ninjutsu are the property of the village. You cannot learn them privately without permission. Rasengan is a powerful A-level ninjutsu. If you steal it secretly, you will be punished for treason. Mizuki was stunned. How did third generation know I knew Rasengan? Telescope technique, is it possible that it also covers the kingdom of waves? Or is it that someone among the three, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, snitched and sent a message back to Konoha? Or, Uchiha Itachi, that 25-year-old boy? After thinking about it, Mizuki felt that Uchiha Itachi was the most suspicious. So he said, third generation Sama, I don't know Rasengan. That's a powerful ninjutsu created by fourth Hokage. How could I do it? Third generation Sama said that I know Rasengan, do you have any evidence? Third generation, he has evidence, but he can't show it. Uchiha Itachi still carries the name of Konoha's traitorous ninja. The news he sent back cannot be used as evidence. At this time, Danzo said, Rasengan, let's not talk about it. You secretly learned the Flying Thunder God technique. Is this always a fact? This is the news from Anbu. They saw with their own eyes that when you were fighting Zabuza, you used the time and space ninjutsu to move your position instantly. The Flying Thunder God technique was created by the second Hokage and is the forbidden technique recorded in the Book of Ceilings. You know the Flying Thunder God technique, so it goes without saying that you must have peeked at the sealed book. This alone can sentence you to death. Mizuki glanced at Danzo. This old coin really does distort the facts. Mizuki didn't bother to argue with them anymore, he was ready to make a big move. Sir third generation, everyone, whether I am guilty or not will be discussed later. Now I have important information that I must tell you. This information is related to the safety of Konoha. If it is not handled properly, Konoha will probably be destroyed. As soon as this statement came out, the atmosphere in the entire conference room became weird. Everyone looked at Mizuki like he was a fool. Scaremongering. Danzo scolded coldly. Don't expect to change the subject to get away with it, confess your crime immediately and then accept justice. Mizuki ignored him at all and simply said, Konoha, collapse plan. In just 6 words, the atmosphere in the conference room instantly changed again. Especially the third Hokage, whose pupils shrank suddenly. What is the plan for the collapse of Konoha? Tell me clearly. Third generation asked loudly. When it comes to the safety of Konoha, third generation no longer cares about killing Mizuki. Danzo's eyes flickered and he said, Hiruzen, don't be deceived by him. He definitely made up the Konoha collapse plan. He wants to create panic and rely on false intelligence to get away with it. You absolutely cannot trust him. Mizuki smiled and said, Elder Danzo, why are you in such a hurry? Are you also involved in the plan to collapse Konoha? As soon as he said this, third generation's eyes froze, and he turned his head, staring at Danzo with his eyes like a hawk. Danzo's face was expressionless, but his eyes evaded for a moment. Mizuki, as an elder of Konoha, how dare you slander me? Danzo shouted. He also said to third generation, Hiruzen, Mizuki has no dignity. I suggest that such a person be executed directly. Third generation had realized something, took a deep look at Danzo, and then turned to look at Mizuki again. It is related to the safety of the village. This matter must be investigated. Mizuki, tell me everything you know. Danzo hurriedly shouted. Hiruzen, you can't be fooled. Danzo. Third generation shouted in a low voice. The safety of the village is more important than anything else. In view of your repeated inappropriate remarks, please leave the meeting room now. You are no longer suitable to continue participating in this meeting. Danzo's eyes widened and he said angrily, Hiruzen, I am here for the village. You will regret it if you don't convict and execute him. Third generation said coldly, Danzo, I am the Hokage. Now, leave immediately. Danzo was furious, stood up and pointed at third generation, wanting to continue saying something. The advisors of the two committees couldn't stand it anymore. Udatane Kaharu said, Danzo, you are indeed not suitable to participate in this meeting. You should follow Hokage's order and leave. Mitokado Homura also said, Yes Danzo, the safety of the village is the most important. Whether it is true or false, it must be investigated clearly, so Mizuki cannot die now. Danzo had no advantage in one fight against three. But he was still unwilling. It is an indisputable fact that he secretly read the Book of Ceilings and learned the Flying Thunder God technique. He must be executed. If you want to know what the Konoha collapse plan is, why not kill him first and then let Haichi explore his memory? Wouldn't this be more certain of the authenticity of the information? As soon as these words came out, Jonan's expressions changed slightly. Not to mention whether it was true or false that Mizuki peeked at the sealed book, even if it was true, he would not have to die. Even if someone has committed a capital crime, he should be given a chance to atone for his crime. Third generation slapped the table and shouted, Danzo, shut up and get out now. Seeing that third generation had made up its mind, Danzo knew that it was useless to say anything, so he had no choice but to turn around and leave. Hiruzen, you're going to regret it. After saying the last words, Danzo slammed the door and walked out. Third generation. Mizuki, now tell me everything you know. If what you said is true, then the crime of peeking at the sealed book can be exempted. Mizuki smiled. This level has been passed. So, Orochimaru, I'm sorry. On that day, Orochimaru suddenly appeared in the land of waves, bringing with him a boy named Kimimaro. That boy was pregnant with the bloodline limit dead bone pulse. The purpose of Orochimaru was Uchiha Sasuke. He killed 3 Anbu and planted a curse seal on Uchiha. He recounted some of the battle situations that day. Of course, some changes were made. I hid in the dense forest and overheard Orochimaru's plan. During the Chunin exam, he united with Sunagakur of the Wind Country to launch the Konoha collapse plan to completely destroy Konoha. Third generation's expression did not change. He was very confident that even if Sunagakur came out in force and combined with Orochimaru, it would not be enough to destroy Konoha. Even if Konoha is defenseless, it will never be destroyed. The background is there, but he also knew Orochimaru's character. Since he said he wanted to destroy Konoha, he must have some trump card. Third generation asked, besides that, what else did you hear? Mizuki continued. There is support from within Konoha, and Sunagakur will send the strongest weapons. Third generation raised an eyebrow and thought to himself, there is someone inside Konoha who is taking over, who is it? And the Sand Shinobi's most powerful weapon, one-tail Shukaku. Even the tailed beasts have to participate, so it's no small matter. Third generation is finally getting serious. Third generation asked again, is there any more? Mizuki frowned and said, at that time, Kimimaro asked Orochimaru, Orochimaru-sama, it is rumored that the third Hokage is the strongest in the ninja world and the strongest Hokage. Can we and Sand Shinobi succeed alone? Orochimaru smiled at that time and replied, if we and Sunagakur are alone, it is impossible to succeed. But I still have 2 trump cards. Even if the third generation is strong, they will never be able to defeat me. Third generation asked hurriedly, what trump card is it? Mizuki smiled and stopped answering. A look of irritation flashed on third generation's face, but he was helpless. Tell me everything you know, and I will forgive you for peeking at the Book of Ceilings. Mizuki looked at third generation and said calmly, I have never peeked at the Book of Ceilings. I don't know the so-called Flying Thunder God technique. The technique I master is called displacement. Advanced ninjutsu of body replacement technique. Sir third generation, there is no need for forgiveness for unfounded crimes. Third generation is anxious and wants to know what Orochimaru's trump card is. But now, Mizuki used this to threaten him to change his story, which filled him with anger. He finally compromised and said, show it and let everyone see if it is the Flying Thunder God. This will prove your innocence. When saying this, third generation felt aggrieved. Mizuki smiled, turned around and finally focused on Sarutobi Asuma. The next moment, the apparition was activated, and his and Asuma's positions were exchanged. Everyone's pupils shrank suddenly, even the third generation. Although he had learned about Mizuki's apparition through intelligence, the shock of seeing it with his own eyes was completely different. At this time, everyone's eyes changed when they looked at Mizuki. With this ninjutsu alone, Mizuki definitely possesses Jonin, or even exceeds Jonin's lethality. Why was Namikaze Minato able to achieve great military exploits during the Third War and then successfully ascend to the position of Hokage? Isn't it just relying on the Flying Thunder God technique? It's not the Flying Thunder God technique. Third generation finished speaking and announced, Mizuki is not guilty of peeking at the sealed book. His heart was bleeding when he said this. How many times has it happened? Why does Mizuki never die? Why? Thank you, Master Hokage, for giving me the opportunity to prove my innocence. Third generation waved its hand and said, now, tell me Orochimaru's two trump cards. Mizuki nodded and continued. At that time, after Orochimaru said there were two trump cards, Kimimaro asked what they were. Orochimaru smiled and replied, it is said that the third generation is the strongest Hokage, but it is not true. The fourth Hokage Namikaze Minato is not weaker than the third generation. The first generation and the second Hokage are far stronger than the third generation. Third generation frowned and asked, why did Orochimaru suddenly talk about the strength of the Hokage in the past? Mizuki smiled and said, Kimimaro asked the same question at that time. Orochimaru replied, since he is the ace, of course he is stronger than the third generation. Who do you think is stronger than the third generation? Kimimaro said. According to what Orochimaru-sama just said, the ones who are stronger than the third Hokage are the first Hokage and the second Hokage, but they are already dead. At this time, third generation seems to have realized something, but has not yet fully figured it out. Mizuki continued. Faced with Kimimaro's question, Orochimaru's answer was, they are indeed dead, but who says dead people can't fight? As soon as these words came out, third generation stood up with a sudden look on their face. No one else present could understand why third generation reacted so strongly. Some Jonin also started talking. Why does it sound so unscientific? How do dead people fight? Could Orochimaru have a way to resurrect the first generation and second generation? Could it be that the corpses of the first generation and the second generation were stolen and made into puppets? It is said that there is a puppet master in Sunagakur who has mastered the method of making puppets from corpses and can use the abilities of the corpses in life. Where did you hear that puppet masters are not that powerful? At this time, third generation's brows had gathered together, and he looked very impetuous. Mitokado Homura said, Mizuki, did Orochimaru say anything else? Did he explain in detail the technique of fighting with the dead? Mizuki shook his head and said, that's all he said. Homura wanted to ask something else, but was interrupted by third generation. Okay, no need to ask any more, I already know Orochimaru's plan. At this time, third generation already believed 99% of Mizuki's plan to collapse Konoha. Because there is a lot in what Mizuki said that cannot be made up. Like, let the dead fight. Even if the two consultants don't know something, Mizuki will never know it. But since Mizuki knew it, he definitely wasn't making it up casually. Today's meeting ends here. No word of the content of the meeting is allowed to be revealed. Mizuki has done a great job in bringing back such important information. I announce that Mizuki will be rewarded with 1 million taels of gold, and will be rewarded with the Ninjutsu Earth Style and Tulong Spear. Mizuki's ninja level will also be upgraded from Chunin to Special Jonin. The meeting is over. Seeing third generation walking out of the conference room first, a hint of sarcasm flashed across Mizuki's lips. Mizuki revealed the plan to collapse Konoha and successfully diverted the third generation's attention. A trial against Mizuki came to nothing. On the rooftop of the Hokage building, third generation looked up at the Hokage rock with their hands behind their backs. His eyes lingered on the rock statues of first Hokage and second Hokage for a long time. The guilt in his eyes lingered for a long time. Impure world reincarnation. Orochimaru, I didn't expect you to have fallen so low that you would destroy even the rest of the dead. Absolutely unforgivable. Third generation's eyes are full of determination. I was too soft-hearted after all when I let you leave. This time, I will kill you with my own hands. Even if it takes my life, I won't hesitate. At this moment, familiar footsteps sounded behind them, and third generation knew that Danzo was coming without even turning around. What are you doing here? Third generation asked calmly. Danzo. Hiruzen, Mizuki's words can't be completely believed. After all, do you know about Orochimaru's plan? Third generation interrupted Danzo and asked suddenly. Danzo was surprised and thought that third generation was indeed suspicious. But he didn't panic, his face was calm and his breath was stable. I've said it all, don't believe all Mizuki's words. He is obviously trying to sow discord. If you believe him, Konoha will be in chaos before foreign enemies come to attack. Besides, Hiruzen, you don't know my loyalty to Konoha, do you? The third generation looked up and sighed. Yes, you have always been loyal to Konoha. Everything you do is for Konoha. While saying this, third generation's eyes were full of coldness. Yes, you are indeed loyal to Konoha, but you are not so loyal to me, the Hokage. Danzo's eyes flashed with subtle contempt. Hiruzen, after all, you are still so indecisive and lack courage. It is under your leadership that Konoha has become desolate. If I were the Hokage, I would definitely not be in this embarrassing situation. The information Mizuki brought back may be false, it may be true, and it may even be half-truth. Third generation frowned and said, whatever you want to say, just say it. Danzo, if you don't kill the snake, you will be harmed by it. With us targeting Mizuki like this, he must be holding a grudge and retaliate whenever he gets the chance. If the Konoha collapse plan is fake, it doesn't matter. If it is true, Mizuki will definitely take advantage of the chaos to destroy Konoha. Such a time bomb must be dealt with in advance without giving him any chance. Third generation nodded. Of course he knows this. He brought back the news of Konoha's collapse plan and made great achievements. I declared him innocent in public. If I take action against him again, the Jonin in the village will object, and the two advisors will also object. Danzo frowned and said, you just watch such dangerous elements threaten the safety of the village at any time. Third generation. During Chunin's exam, I will send him out of the village to perform tasks so that he will not have the opportunity to take advantage of the chaos and destroy the village. Danzo sighed and said, I hope your decision is right. After saying that, Danzo turned and left. Third generation waved his hand, and Anbu immediately appeared behind him. Send a message to inform Jiraiya to return to the village. Also, find Tsunade and tell her to come back and see me one last time. Anbu was shocked when he heard this and couldn't help but ask, Master Third Generation, what do you mean by this? Third Generation waved its hand, just do as I say. Anbu could only respond, yes, and leave. Mizuki breathed a sigh of relief when he returned home. The Third Generation already knew in advance that I would apparate and Rasengan, but they still planned to kill me. They must have something to rely on. But fortunately, we didn't get to that point after all. Next is the Chunin exam. Once the Third Generation dies and Tsunade takes over, I won't have to worry about it all day long. The Third Generation knows the plan for Konoha's collapse in advance and will be fully prepared. When the time comes, Orochimaru might not even be able to do it. But so what, Orochimaru can't kill the Third Generation, and he can't kill himself. There's still more than a month left. I have to improve my strength even more, and then I'll try to trick Third Generation. To accept apprentices, you must accept more apprentices. If you want to become stronger, you cannot rely on yourself, you must rely on the system. The more apprentices you have, the more returns you can make every month, and the faster your strength will improve. After taking a short rest, he went out and came to the orphanage. Mizuki, I haven't seen you here for a long time. You must be very busy recently. The dean welcomed Mizuki. Yes, Dean, I spent half a month out of the village on a mission, and I just returned to the village today. The two talked for a while, and suddenly the dean said, you taught them the chakra refining technique before, and they had a child, and it was successful. Is it Nobita? The dean was stunned and asked curiously, how do you know? I asked everyone to keep this matter a secret. I didn't even tell Hokage. Mizuki smiled and said, I saw that day that Nobita had ninja talent, but he was not very strong. Unexpectedly, he really succeeded. Dean, I want to take Nobita out for a walk, and I have something to say to him by the way. The dean said, no problem, but it's lunchtime. Let's go shopping after lunch. Mizuki, no, I just took him to eat Ichiraku ramen. Then he took out a wad of money. This mission was successful, and Master Hokage rewarded me with some money. I donated these to the orphanage. Not much, 100,000 taels, plus some nutritious meals for the children. At Ichiraku ramen restaurant, Mizuki and Nobita were already seated. Nobita is very reserved. As an orphan, he eats 3 meals a day in the orphanage. It is impossible to think of eating on the street. This is his first time to have lunch on the street. Nobita, you can order whatever you want to eat. Nobita whispered, Master, I just want a bowl of clear soup ramen. Mizuki shook his head, sighing in his heart. This world. That's not okay. Master, I'm not a stingy person. If I treat you to ramen, of course I have to make sure you eat it well. Well, let me give you some. He shouted to his hand. Boss, give this little guy 3 bowls of ramen, 1 bowl of barbecued pork, 1 bowl of tonkatsu, and 1 bowl of seafood. Okay. Nobita was anxious. Master, 3 bowls is too much. I can't eat that much. Mizuki smiled and said, I heard from the dean that you have a big appetite. You usually restrain yourself from eating more for fear that other friends will not be full. I'm treating you today. I'll keep you satisfied. If 3 bowls are not enough, I'll add more later. Nobita said hurriedly. Enough, 3 bowls is enough. Soon, Nobita's 3 bowls of ramen arrived. Ding. Host grants disciple Nobita a bowl of barbecued pork ramen, triggering a 300x return. Host grants disciple Nobita a bowl of tonkatsu ramen, triggering a 500-fold return. Host grants disciple Nobita a bowl of seafood ramen, triggering a 600x return. Since the grant to a disciple is the same as the grant type, the 3 returns will be superimposed. Congratulations to Host, triggering 3000 times return. Host gets a bowl of chakra noodles. After eating, the total amount of chakra increases by 3 Kakashi. Li Yu smiled. There is superposition again, and the return multiplier after superposition is very impressive. He seemed to have found a pattern. Chakra is the foundation, of course the more the better. Now Mizuki's total chakra amount has reached 14.5 Kakashi. Nobita's qualifications are not particularly good. Every time he returns, the amount is hundreds of times, which is not high. If you give something else as a gift, the return may not be good. Therefore, it is good to brush chakra on him. At this time, Nobita was already addicted to the deliciousness of ramen, and he did not realize that he had become Mizuki's tool to increase the chakra limit. Oh, delicious, so delicious. Sure enough, Chuki once again gave Mizuki a bowl of ramen. After eating, the chakra began to increase, and after eating, the total amount reached 14.5 Kakashi. Is 14.5 calories a lot of chakra? For the average person, it is indeed quite a lot. But compared to some dicks, they are really pitiful. For example, Naruto's normal chakra is 4 times that of Kakashi. But in full state, it is 100 times stronger than Kakashi. The other 96 cards of chakra are used to seal 9 tails and cannot be used. In other words, not counting 9 tails, Naruto's chakra is 100 times stronger than Kakashi's. And if you include 9 tails, it's even more terrifying. This is why, during the 4th Ninja War, Naruto was able to distribute chakra to everyone. Look at Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama again. The battle lasted for 3 days and 3 nights, and the chakra was not used up. The battle between the brothers Hagoromo and Hamura and Kagaya lasted for several months. Compared to these idiots, Mizuki is far behind. Fighting with all his strength, he can use up all his chakra in 3 minutes. You still have to keep working hard. Mizuki sighed. Nobita on the side, even though he tried his best, he didn't finish all 3 bowls of ramen, he only ate 1 bowl. I'm sorry, Master Mizuki, 3 bowls of noodles are too many. He looked at Mizuki carefully, for fear that Mizuki would be angry. Mizuki said casually, "It's okay. If you can't finish it, you can't finish it. It's cheap anyway." His purpose is to return the system, and he doesn't care at all whether Nobita eats it all. No, the dean teaches everyone not to waste food. I want to sit here and wait for the food in my stomach to digest before I finish the half bowl. Listening to Nobita's words, Mizuki felt agitated for no reason. There is a vague feeling of cynicism that wants to burst out. This world, don't eat it, pack it up, let Auntie heat it up for dinner. You can eat it again. Nobita asked, "What is packaging?" Poor kid, he doesn't even know what packing is. Mizuki didn't explain anything and just called out, "Boss, please help me pack this bowl of noodles left." Okay. While walking on the road, Nobita carried the food box and said happily, "This ramen is so delicious and the soup is super delicious. When I get back, I will share this bowl of noodles with everyone." Eating a noodle and a sip of soup for each person, well, that should be enough. Mizuki couldn't help but sigh. Suddenly sad. "Nobita, do you want to enter the ninja school?" I don't know why, but Mizuki suddenly asked this question. Obviously I just want to use him to get more rewards. Nobita's eyes were full of yearning. Who among the children of Konoha doesn't want to study in a ninja school? Who doesn't want to be a powerful ninja? Nobita thought too. But after yearning, there is hesitation. But, I want to be with my friends at the orphanage. The children in the village always bully us. We can't beat them. If I leave, we will be even more unable to beat them. Mizuki said, "Enter the ninja school and your strength will become stronger. When the time comes, you can fight back whoever dares to bully the children in the orphanage. And ninjas can take on tasks and make money. With money, they can make the friends in the orphanage live better." Hearing this, Nobita no longer hesitated and nodded repeatedly. "I want to go to a ninja school. I want to become a ninja and protect everyone. I want to make money and buy a lot of delicious food for everyone." After sending Nobita back to the orphanage, Mizuki found the dean again and explained the matter of sending Nobita to the ninja school. The dean did not object, but was very much in favor. Although ninjas are dangerous and can easily lose their lives, the lives of ordinary people are even less guaranteed. As for the orphans in the orphanage, sometimes they are not treated as human beings at all. Becoming a ninja is enough to change the fate of an orphan. After leaving the orphanage, Mizuki began to think about taking on a disciple. Among the Konoha 12, except for those who inherited family secrets and bloodline limits, the only ones who have a chance are Xiao Li and Tiantian. Xiao Li is a taijutsu player, and Tiantian is a ninja player. I'm not good at these 2 things, so I can't seem to impress them. Since you want to accept a disciple, then you have to be better than the disciple. In terms of physical skills, Mizuki is definitely no match for Xiao Li. In terms of ninja tools, Mizuki is half empty. Unless Xiao Li and Tiantian were blind, they would worship him as their teacher. After all the calculations, it seems difficult to win the remaining 9 of the 12 Xiaoqiang. How about going to Konohamaru? This idea was rejected by him as soon as he came up with it. The 3rd generation is not dead yet. Now go to Konohamaru and ask him to become his disciple. The 3rd generation will definitely stop him. Trouble. Ninja school, can it start early? There are so many young talents in the ninja school. Even if their qualifications are not as good as those of Naruto and Sasuke, the quality is not enough and the quantity is sufficient. Even if they are all like Nobita, if we recruit dozens of them, wouldn't it take off? Mizuki walked down the street with a melancholy look on his face. He was very unhappy that he couldn't receive a disciple. At this time, 3 little ghosts passed by. He, I finally defeated Grandpa. Konohamaru said happily. Mengwang. What? The seduction technique you used is not considered a defeat at all. A real defeat is to defeat someone head-on with great strength. Snotlout. Konohamaru, I think Mo is right. The seduction technique is useless to me, and the third generation Sama won't fall for it. He must be pretending. Konohamaru was not happy. Who said he was pretending? Didn't you see that his nosebleed came out? Who says it must be defeated head-on? No matter what technique it is, as long as it can defeat the enemy, it is valuable. Mizuki on the side heard this and had an idea flash in his mind. His eyes were wide open and his face was full of excitement. Yes, why didn't I think of it earlier? Who said that to become Shaoli's master, you have to rely on physical skills? No matter what method you use, it will work. As long as he can make him worship me as his teacher, it will be a success. Ha ha ha, he burst out laughing. The three Konohamaru people on the side were startled by the sudden laughter. Hey, it's brother Naruto's master. Konohamaru recognized Mizuki. Mizuki looked at Konohamaru and said, "You were right, no matter what technique it is, as long as it can defeat the enemy, it is valuable. Your words inspired me a lot, and I decided to treat you to delicious food. Meatball shop, you can have as much as you want, how about it?" Who knows, Konohamaru listened with disdain. TCH, what's so delicious about meatballs? I'm tired of them. Mizuki, well, the grandson of third generation is not comparable to those orphans in the orphanage. Growing up, I had everything I wanted, and it was normal to get tired of eating meatballs. Mizuki asked, then what do you want? Konohamaru rolled his eyes and said, you are brother Naruto's master, and you must have invented the seduction technique. Can you teach me a ninjutsu that is stronger than the seduction technique? Mizuki was speechless. Wasn't the art of seduction invented by Laozi? But this is an opportunity, maybe, you can earn a well-qualified apprentice for free. I have many ninjutsu here that are stronger than the seduction technique. I can teach you them, but you must be like Naruto and worship me as your teacher. Konohamaru said in surprise. That's great, I'll bow down now. Before he finished speaking, an Anbu suddenly appeared. Master Konohamaru, Master Hokage is looking for you. Konohamaru said, wait a moment, I will apprentice first. Anbu, no, Master Hokage is anxious to see you, please hurry up. Konohamaru said disappointedly, okay. Before leaving, Konohamaru said to Mizuki, just wait, I will come to you again. Looking at Konohamaru walking away, Mizuki sighed inwardly. Alas, it is indeed so. However, I have become familiar with Konohamaru. It will be much easier to accept him as my disciple in the future. At this moment, the Anbu said, specially John and Mizuki, Konohamaru is the grandson of the third Hokage. Not everyone can be his teacher. Please pay attention to your identity. Mizuki's eyes narrowed, and the next moment he transformed, he switched positions with a stone behind Anbu. Anbu felt the person in front of him suddenly disappear, and then there was a piercing murderous aura behind him. Cold sweat broke out from his forehead. Don't talk to me in this tone. I hate bullies who take advantage of themselves. At this time, there were a few, shua, sounds, and two more Anbu appeared and surrounded Mizuki. Mizuki, what do you want to do? Mizuki smiled lightly. It's nothing, just a joke. After saying that, he turned around and left with a contemptuous smile on his lips. He continued to wander around the village, and after a few hours, he finally found his target. 9,996.9997.9998. The last two are still short of 10,000. If you can't complete it, then you will punish yourself by continuing to run 500 laps around the village. A young man wearing green tights was walking upside down around the village. He was sweating profusely and his hands were shaking, but he still persisted. Weights were tied to his legs, waist, and hands. Rock Lee, Mizuki's new apprentice candidate. Xiao Li. Who? Xiao Li heard someone calling his name, couldn't hold on anymore and fell to the ground. Mizuki was a little embarrassed, as if he was disturbing the other person's practice. Unexpectedly, Xiao Li stood up the next moment and said happily, the training plan of walking 10,000 times around the village has not been achieved, so next, I will run 500 times around the village. The corners of Mizuki's eyes twitched wildly. Why are you so happy when you fail? You obviously failed on purpose just to run 500 laps. The guilt that had just arisen in Mizuki's heart disappeared in an instant. At this time, Xiao Li had clearly seen Mizuki's clothes and face. It turns out to be Mizuki-senpai. Is it possible that you are practicing youth when you come to such a remote place? As expected of a senior, he worked so hard. My youth was ignited again, and I decided to do another 300 laps. The sudden burst of enthusiasm, as well as the teeth that dinged and flashed in the sunset, made Mizuki's eyes twitch. No, 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 I'm not as young as you. At this moment, Mizuki had the urge to turn around and leave. It's a bit unbearable. Ahem, Xiao Li, stop for a moment. I came here specifically to find you. Xiao Li asked curiously. Senior, do you have anything to do with me? Mizuki, I heard that you don't know ninjutsu, genjutsu, or even chakra, so you can only specialize in taijutsu, is that right? Xiao Li replied. No, I do have chakra, but the refining speed is very slow, so I can't use ninjutsu and illusions, even the most basic three-body technique. So, I can only practice physical skills. But I firmly believe that I can succeed even in physical arts. Mizuki smiled. Then, if your chakra refining speed can be increased, the premise is to become my master, would you be willing? Xiao Li replied directly. I don't want to. Mizuki was stunned. Refuse so simply. Why don't you want to? Is it because of Gai Jonin? I don't think this is a problem. Ninja didn't say there can only be one teacher. Xiao Li shook his head and said, no, Senior Mizuki, that's not the reason. I refuse, I just don't want to give up the belief in my heart. Xiao Li's eyes were shining. It is the light of faith that moves forward without any regrets. In my eyes, there is only physical skills. If I have more chakra, like other ninjas, then I may not be able to withstand the temptation and turn to ninjutsu and genjutsu. It's not easy for a genius to do something well, let alone a mediocre person like me with ordinary qualifications. If I distract myself from learning other things, then my future will no longer have any prospects. Xiao Li's words made Mizuki couldn't help but extend his thumb. How many people can understand this kind of consciousness? As the saying goes, having too many skills is not a burden, so some people want to learn everything and master everything. Those parents send their children to various interest classes, such as piano, guzheng, sketching, traditional Chinese painting, dance. The result is that there are a wide range of interests, but none of them can lead to success. On the contrary, even if an ordinary person studies a subject, even if his qualifications are not high, he can still become a master over time. Well said. Mizuki couldn't help but praise. Xiao Li said, thank you, Mizuki-senpai. These are all taught to me by teacher Gai. Mizuki looked at Xiao Li with more and more appreciation. Xiao Li, actually, you are not mediocre. When looking at a person, you have to distinguish between inside and outside. The external body is innate and determined by family and bloodline. This cannot be changed. But on the inside, it is determined by yourself. In my opinion, what determines a person's future height is not the quality of external qualifications, but the quality of internal mental toughness. Xiao Li's eyes became brighter and brighter. Mizuki continued, from the outside, your qualifications are indeed not good, even very poor. But in terms of inner spirit, you are truly strong. You will definitely become a strong person in the future. Mizuki is not shy about his kind words. Xiao Li was not proud, but said calmly, thank you Mizuki-senpai for your encouragement. I will continue to work hard. Then Mizuki-senpai, I have to continue training. I'm sorry. Mizuki has a lot of thoughts in her heart. Lousy, I've said so much and you just say, excuse me. You won't lose a hair if you become your teacher, why don't you want to? This is forcing me to make a bigger move. Mizuki was worried. Wait a minute, Xiao Li, I heard that you like Haruno Sakura. When Xiao Li heard this, his face immediately turned red, and he hesitated and said, Senior, you, how did you know? Mizuki smiled in his heart, looking at this, there is something interesting. Don't worry about how I know. Let me tell you, I know little Sakura's character very well. I'm afraid it won't be easy for you to pursue her. Xiao Li changed his shy look, stared and said, it doesn't matter, I will try my best. I believe that with my efforts, little Sakura will be moved by me and accept my most sincere love. Mizuki was speechless. Actually, if you want to pursue little Sakura, it's not impossible. I can help you. Xiao Li immediately refused. Mizuki-senpai, outsiders cannot interfere with emotional matters. I have to rely on myself to get little Sakura's love. Mizuki was even more speechless. He is indeed a little kid, he doesn't understand anything, and he says that outsiders can't interfere in emotional matters. Funny, Sakura-chan is my disciple, and I know that he likes Uchiha Sasuke. Xiao Li, I will defeat Sasuke-kun and win little Sakura's heart. Mizuki felt like he was playing the piano to a cow. Ahem, to tell you the truth, with your strength, you have little chance of defeating Sasuke. This is of course Mizuki's alarmism. Although Sasuke learned the Rasengan, he may have even opened the Namagatama Sharingan. However, after Xiao Li opened the 6th gate of the 8 inner gates, Sasuke was probably helpless. Xiao Li, I will practice harder and I will be able to defeat him sooner or later. Today, I can't talk anymore. You have to look at it from another angle. He asked, do you know why little Sakura likes Sasuke? Xiao Li, I heard that Sasuke-kun is very handsome and many girls like him. Mizuki shook his head and said, this is just one aspect. The main reason is to get along day and night. Sasuke and little Sakura are assigned to the same class and spend all day together. Over time, they will naturally like each other. And you, little Sakura doesn't even know you, so she won't like you. In addition, strength does not mean everything. Love between two people has nothing to do with similar strength. No matter how hard you practice, it will be useless even if you defeat Sasuke. Little Sakura still doesn't recognize you. After hearing that no matter what he did, little Sakura would never like him, Xiao Li finally broke through. Then what should we do? Mizuki smiled, my dear, it's so difficult. It's very simple. You need to get in touch with little Sakura and even get along day and night. Let little Sakura get to know you and your excellence. Over time, she will naturally accept you. Xiao Li frowned. But, I'm from class 5, and little Sakura is from class 7. We don't usually have contact with each other. How can I let her know me? Should I go to her house to find her? That won't work. It's too abrupt. Not only will she not like me, but she will hate me. You kid, what else do you know about being abrupt? However, I finally got the point. It's really difficult. Mizuki breathed a sigh of relief and said, it's easy. Xiao Li looked up at Mizuki and said respectfully, Senior, please teach me. Mizuki said, little Sakura is my disciple and will practice with me from time to time. So, as long as you also worship me as your teacher, then I will also take you to practice together. This way, you and little Sakura will have a chance to get in touch. If they stay in contact for a long time, little Sakura will know how good you are and accept your love. Mizuki drew the pie. The more Xiao Li listened, the brighter his eyes became. Immediately afterwards, he stood in front of Mizuki, bowed deeply, and then respectfully shouted, Master. Ding! Congratulations to Host, you successfully accepted Locke Li as your disciple. Host has received 5 disciples with talent level C or above, and will be rewarded with an attribute panel. Note: the current disciple quota is full. If you want to increase the quota, at least one disciple must obtain the title of Chunin. The quota is full. What the hell, I can't continue to accept apprentices. What are you doing, limiting your own development? Isn't it necessary to limit quotas? The quota is limited to prevent the host from being lazy and only accepting apprentices without teaching. Mizuki sighed. Could it be that I pulled the wool out of my system too hard and my system hurt? He cursed the dog system in his mind and turned his attention to Xiao Li. I finally have another apprentice, so I have to make good use of it. Xiao Li, today I want to teach you a boxing technique. Xiao Li said excitedly. Master, do you also know physical skills? Ahem. Mizuki coughed dryly and said, I'm not specialized in taijutsu. In comparison, I'm better at ninjutsu. Xiao Li asked, Master, what kind of boxing are you talking about? Mizuki, this boxing technique is called Tai Chi. What is Tai Chi? Mizuki explained. Tai Chi is a broad and profound ancient boxing method. The boxing method contains the principles of heaven and earth such as yin and yang, movement and stillness, positive and negative, form and spirit. The purpose of Tai Chi is to use stillness to stop, to use softness to overcome hardness, to use slowness to hit fast. Let him be strong, let him be strong, the gentle breeze caress the hills, let him be horizontal, let him be horizontal, the bright moon shines on the river. When you practice to a high level, you can withstand all attacks, be both offensive and defensive, and move forward and retreat freely. Xiao Li's eyes widened and he listened carefully. Okay, now I'll demonstrate it again, and you can watch from the side. Mizuki started to practice Tai Chi, which he learned when he went fishing by the river in the park and watched the old man in his previous life. One move after another, one advance and one retreat, very slowly. It seems to have no power at all. But Xiao Li on the side looked at it very seriously. He wanted to remember every move Mizuki made. Soon, after one stroke, Mizuki breathed out. How much do you remember? Xiao Li replied. I remember 80%. After a while, Mizuki asked again, how much do you remember? Xiao Li was embarrassed and said, only 30% is left. After a while, Mizuki asked again, what now? Xiao Li frowned and replied, I forgot everything. Mizuki patted Xiao Li on the shoulder and smiled, not bad. Not bad. Xiao Li was dumbfounded. I forgot all about it, and you actually said it was good. Master, what do you mean? Xiao Li asked. Mizuki didn't know what it meant, but just said, don't worry, go back and understand it carefully. When you understand it, Tai Chi will naturally be learned. After saying that, he turned around and left. Ding. Host grants disciple Lok Li's version of Tai Chi, triggering a 3000 times return. Congratulations to host, for getting the full version of Tai Chi. Full version of Tai Chi, created by martial arts master Zhang Sanfeng, uses softness to overcome hardness and calmness to stop. Activated by chakra, the power is increased 100 times. It can resist ninjutsu and taijutsu, and reflect the attack to the enemy. Ha ha ha, it's not worth wasting so much of my breath. It's worth it. It's worth it. Chapter 41. Xiao Li, who stayed where he was, had not yet reacted. What do you mean? I forgot everything. Why do you say it's good? It seems that I have realized something, but it seems that I have not realized anything. The more Xiao Li thought about it, the bigger his brain became, but he didn't want to understand and felt unwilling to do so. After all, Mizuki said that if you practice Tai Chi to a high level, you can withstand all attacks. Forget it, keep exercising. Master Mizuki asked me to go back and understand it carefully. Once I understand it, I will learn it. Then I will understand it slowly. The next day, Team 5, led by Might Guy, came to the 8th training ground to practice. He practices ninja tools every day, Neji practices Gentle Fist, and Guy and Xiao Li practice Taijutsu. Konoha Taijutsu is divided into two major schools, Guken style and Gentle Fist style. Gentle Fist is exclusive to the Hyuga family and needs to be used in conjunction with the Byakugan. Guken also has different inheritances, such as Might Guy's 8 inner gates, Tsunade's strange power, etc. At this time, Guy and Xiao Li were driving 8 inner gates and practicing Lotus. Everyone is serious. When we are tired from practicing, everyone sits together to rest, and takes out snacks and drinks from the storage scroll every day. Guy suddenly said, Li, you are practicing today, why do you look so absent-minded? Xiao Li said, I'm sorry, Mr. Guy, I was exposed to a new physical technique yesterday, but I haven't learned it yet. I've been thinking about it. Guy became interested and asked, what kind of physical technique is it? Xiao Li replied, Master Mizuki taught me Tai Chi. Hearing the word, Tai Chi, Ningri suddenly looked up. Guy was stunned for a moment and asked, Mizuki, does he know how to do taijutsu? Yesterday in the Hokage building conference room, Guy got to know Mizuki again. Apparition, Rasengan, and the courage to face the third generation's accusations without fear. Guy's face turned serious and he said, tell me about Tai Chi. Xiao Li scratched his head and said, I don't know what to say. I haven't learned Tai Chi at all. Master Mizuki demonstrated it yesterday, but I have forgotten it all. Tiantian asked curiously, is it very complicated? Xiao Li, it's not complicated, it's just, how should I put it, very strange. Guy said, describe it. Xiao Li said, yesterday I was training outside the village. Master Mizuki found me and asked me to call him master. He also said he would teach me a profound physical technique. He was not good at lying, and his face turned red when he said this. But it would be even more embarrassing if he revealed the reason why he went to become a disciple in order to pursue little Sakura. Guy said speechlessly, it's just a disciple. Why are you blushing? I didn't say you can't be a disciple of others. It was obvious that Guy had misunderstood. After I became a disciple, Master Mizuki told me that the physical technique he was going to teach me was called Tai Chi. Xiao Li repeated Mizuki's original words. Quote, contains the most fundamental principles of heaven and earth, such as yin and yang, movement and stillness, positive and negative, form and spirit. Quote, use stillness to stop, use softness to overcome hardness, use slowness to beat speed. Quote, 4 ounces and 1,000 caddies can withstand all attacks. After Xiao Li finished speaking, Guy's expression became more serious. Tenten curled his lips and said, Li, have you been deceived? Mizuki is just a chunin, how could he possibly master such a taijutsu? He must have deceived you. Guy was noncommittal and asked, is there any more? Xiao Li, Master Mizuki demonstrated at once. After the demonstration, he asked me how much I remembered. The first time I said I remembered 80%, Master didn't say anything. After a while he asked me how much I remembered, and I said 30%, but Master still didn't say anything. The third time I asked, I said I had completely forgotten it. But Master Mizuki smiled, patted me on the shoulder and said it was good. I still don't understand what it means. Tiantian becomes more convinced that Xiao Li has been deceived. Guy didn't speak, but frowned and thought. The one who had the biggest reaction was Neji. His eyes were dull and he was mumbling something. Quote, use stillness to stop, use softness to overcome hardness, use fastness to defeat slowness, use 4 ounces to move 1,000 pounds. Yin and yang, positive and negative. These words were repeated over and over again in his mouth, and the more he said them, the brighter his eyes became. Suddenly, he jumped up and shouted, I know. Xiao Li and Tiantian looked at Neji with confused expressions. What do you know? Neji came to the open space aside, and a large amount of chakra was released from various acupuncture points on his body, and his body began to rotate at high speed like a top. A blue hemispherical chakra envelope surrounds him. This is revolving heaven, which can withstand all physical damage and is known as absolute defense. What's wrong with Neji? Tiantian asked curiously. Guy didn't understand either and just said, Neji seems to have understood something and is experimenting. In the field, Neji's rotation speed began to decrease, and the chakra ejected from his body also began to decrease. Until finally, Neji stopped spinning completely. The chakra shield turned into a thin layer, like a bubble, which seemed to be able to burst with a poke. Tiantian, use your ninja tool to attack me. Tenten said, are you sure Neji? I feel like you're going to get hurt. Neji said, don't worry, just attack. The more ninja tools you have, the better. Okay. Tiantian had no choice but to take out the scroll, summon a large number of shurikens, and attack Neji. Of course, she restrained her strength. These shurikens were not fast and powerful. Even if they hit the body, they would only cause superficial injuries. The next moment, a scene that shocked Tiantian happened. After these shurikens hit the chakra shield around Neji, it was like hitting a soft sponge. It sank in, but could not break through it until the kinetic energy was exhausted and it fell gently to the ground. A large number of shurikens fell around Neji, but the chakra shield was never broken. How is this possible? Tiantian exclaimed. Such a thin layer of chakra shield can't resist the damage at all. Why can't the shuriken penetrate it? Guy and Xiao Li also felt incredible. Neji shouted, don't worry about me getting hurt, keep attacking, with all your strength. Tenten also became fierce and summoned hundreds of shurikens again, this time using all his strength. But the result remains the same. The thin chakra shield was still not broken. Neji, what's going on? It's obviously not revolving heaven, so why is the defense so strong? Guy couldn't help being curious and asked aloud. Neji paused and explained. I was inspired by the principles of yin and yang, positive and negative, and using softness to overcome strength, so I made changes to revolving heaven. The previous revolving heaven relied on the high-speed rotating chakra to deflect all attacks. It looked like a gentle fist, but it was actually a gang fist. It consumed a lot of physical strength and chakra. Inspired just now, I changed the chakra shield into tiny chakra vortices, alternating positive and negative, yin and yang complementing each other. I no longer forcefully deflect the attack, but rely on the chakra vortex to remove the damage from the shuriken. The force makes the shuriken lose its attack power. Compared to the previous revolving heaven, this one is the real gentle fist. After the change, the consumption of physical strength and chakra has been greatly reduced, and the defense power has not been reduced. Guy said happily. As expected of a genius, he can even change the Hyuga family's secret technique, revolving heaven. Neji said. Thanks to Lee. If his words hadn't inspired me, I would never have thought of the principle of using softness to overcome strength. Xiao Li opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but nothing came out. Guy saw what Xiao Li was thinking and patted Xiao Li on the shoulder. Li Yo, you have to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, no matter how hard you try, it will be in vain. Believe in yourself and work hard, this is the real youth. Guy gave a thumbs up, his teeth tinkling. The impassioned speech made Xiao Li's frustration disappear. Teacher Guy. Xiao Li burst into tears. Li, master and disciple cried together. On the side, Tiantian rolled his eyes. Neji had long been used to it. Neji, revolving heaven has been improved and is very different from before. It should be renamed. Have you decided what to call it? Neji nodded and said, yes, we should definitely give him a new name. At the same time, Mizuki came to Nara's pharmacy. Boss, I feel low on energy recently. I want to buy some refreshing medicine. Genjutsu, especially Ijutsu type Genjutsu, is one of Mizuki's weaknesses after all. Uchiha Itachi can use Tsukuyomi to instant Kakashi, but if he replaces it with Mizuki, the result will probably be similar. Boost your mental power and you may not be able to crack Tsukuyomi. But at least, after 3 days and 3 nights of being stabbed in the world of Tsukuyomi, he would not be like Kakashi, whose spirit was severely damaged and his combat effectiveness dropped to 0. The drugstore owner took out a bottle of medicinal solution. This bottle of toilet water contains alcohol, mint juice, snake gall, honeysuckle, etc. When used, apply it under the nose and on both sides of the forehead. It has a very refreshing effect. Oh, by the way, it also repels mosquitoes. Chungwei, 15 taels. Mizuki paid the money and walked out of the store with the toilet water. I am going to find a reason to give this bottle of toilet water to Xiao Li and see what the system can return. The system returned the Tai Chi yesterday, let's try the effect. He walked out of the market and came to the nearest training ground number 8. I found a quiet corner and started practicing Tai Chi. The movements are very slow, one move after another, and they seem to have no power. In the Hokage office, there is a crystal ball on 3rd generation's table. In the crystal ball, there is a real-time live broadcast of Mizuki doing Tai Chi. Physical skills. Why is it so weak? This boxing technique seems to be more suitable for the elderly to exercise. 3rd generation looked at it for a while, feeling bored, and prepared to close the telescope technique. At this moment, 3rd generation suddenly narrowed his eyes and moved his gaze to the tree next to Mizuki. Looking at the leaves blown by the wind, 3rd generation widened his eyes and murmured, what kind of tree is this? He looked at Mizuki in shock, eyes full of inquiry. The leaves are moving, which means there is wind. But Mizuki's clothes and hair remained motionless, not affected by the wind at all. The wind couldn't reach Mizuki at all. At this moment, the wind suddenly became stronger, and the dead leaves on the ground were picked up by the wind and swept towards Mizuki. 3rd generation clearly saw that when the leaves reached a place 2 meters away from Mizuki, they seemed to have encountered a barrier and changed their directions one after another, making an arc and bypassing Mizuki. The 2-meter radius around Mizuki seemed to be a restricted area, and no object could get close. Absolute defense similar to revolving heaven. 3rd generation squinted and looked at the picture in the crystal ball, becoming more and more afraid of Mizuki. The murderous intention that had been suppressed yesterday surged again. No, we can't keep him until the Chunin exam. He must be dealt with in advance. Otherwise, as Danzo said, there will be endless troubles. Killing by force is too risky. Even if you can kill him, Konoha will suffer huge losses. So it seems, only drugs. He put away the crystal ball, tapped his fingers on the table, and an Anbu appeared. Go tell Danzo I'll be waiting for him on the roof. At the 8th training ground, Mizuki's punches and palm movements were extremely slow. To put it bluntly, Obito's grandma was even more agile than this when she spanked her grandson. But this is just an appearance. The area 2 meters around him became a restricted area. This area is filled with fists and palms that are invisible to the naked eye. These fists and palms are dancing, forming one yin-yang tai chi diagram after another, removing their strength from all approaching objects and pushing them away. Whether it is dead branches and leaves, or rocks and sand, as long as you get closer to Mizuki for 2 meters, you will immediately encounter an invisible barrier and be bounced away by a gentle force. Even the wind couldn't break through and touch Mizuki's body. I tried defense, now let's try attack. He stopped, and the barrier immediately disappeared. As the wind blew, a lot of fallen leaves, sand and stones came towards him. Tai Chi started again, but the movements were still slow. As he waved his right palm lightly, the trajectories of the objects approaching him were immediately confused and collided with each other. The sand penetrated the leaves, and the branches collided and broke. In the blink of an eye, the area within 2 meters was completely empty. At Mizuki's feet, a Tai Chi diagram composed of broken branches, leaves, sand and gravel was quietly taking shape. Do you want to use your strength to gain strength? Mizuki had a realization in his mind. Under the stimulation of chakra, the power of Tai Chi is much more powerful than that in martial arts novels. Chakra is still more advanced than internal force. At this moment, Mizuki's thinking became more open. System, check the properties panel. The next moment, an attribute bar that only Mizuki could see appeared in front of him. Host, Mizuki. Chakra, 14.5 Kakashi. Chakra control, 99.9999%. Ability parameters: Endurance 10, Physical 9, Illusion 2, Sage 8, Strength 7, Speed 7, Essence 10, Seal 10, Total 63. Ninjutsu. Upgraded 3 Body Technique, Earth Style. Earth Style. Tyrone Gun, Earth Style. Stone Mirror Wall, Sky Stepping Technique, Rasengan, Wind Style. Spiral Shuriken, 6 Paths. Yin-Yang Rasengan. Physical Skills: Tai Chi. Illusion. Not mastered. Ninja Tools. Mind Control Chakra, Detonating Bomber. Disciple. Uzumaki Naruto S level qualification, Uchiha Sasuke S level, Haruno Sakura A level, Nobita C level, Rock Lee A level. The attribute table is clear at a glance. What Mizuki cares about most are the 8 ninja ability parameters. Among them, the 3 items of forbearance, Jing, and Yin have full values, which is not surprising. Needless to say, there are no hand seals, so the full value is very reasonable. If the full score is not 10 points, Mizuki's parameters can definitely be higher in terms of seal. In terms of nin, although Mizuki doesn't have many ninjutsu, each of his ninjutsu is very advanced. Although getting 10 points is a bit far-fetched, there is nothing wrong with it. As for Jing, it has something to do with his time travel. He traveled through time and swallowed the soul and memory of the original Mizuki, so that his spiritual energy was higher than others, almost twice that of ordinary people, so he scored 10 points. Compared with the perfect score in these 3 items, the phantom item is terrible. It's also a good thing that he was studying the Narukumi technique during this period, otherwise he might not even be able to get 2 points. The other items are also so. The total score is 63 points, which is not low, but not high either. Through the property panel, Mizuki has a more detailed understanding of itself. I know my strengths and weaknesses, and also understand the direction of future efforts. Next, while improving your mental strength, you must also step up your study of illusions. Although hexagonal warriors are not very smart, that is for people with average potential. Mizuki has unlimited potential with his system. Even if it is a hexagon, it is an outstanding hexagon in every aspect. After practicing Tai Chi, Mizuki began to study the Narukumi technique. It was not until evening that he prepared to return to the village. When he arrived at the gate of the 8th training ground, he happened to meet Guy's 5th class. What a coincidence, Master Mizuki. Xiao Li asked happily when he saw Mizuki. Yes, what a coincidence. Mizuki greeted the 4 of them with a smile. Then he saw that Hyuga Neji, who had always been unsmiling, actually smiled back at him. This puzzled Mizuki. If I had known that Master Mizuki was also at the 8th training ground, I should have asked you for some Tai Chi advice. I thought about it all day today, but I still didn't figure it out. Instead, Neji figured it out first. What did Neji figure out? Mizuki glanced at Hyuga Neji, confused. Neji bowed to Mizuki and said, I learned from Shaoli that Tai Chi uses softness to overcome hardness, and uses slow and fast physical skills. I used it in physical skills without permission. Please don't blame teacher Mizuki. Mizuki was amazed. Is this genius? You can understand something with just a few words. Is it too much to pervert? Unfortunately, due to quota restrictions, he is now unable to accept more disciples. Otherwise, Neji must be accepted no matter what. Such a genius is absolutely awesome. He smiled and said, we are all ninjas of Konoha, you're welcome. You can understand something, but it's too late for me to be happy. How can I blame you? Neji, thank you teacher. After chatting for a while, Mizuki left. Before leaving, he took out the bottle of toilet water purchased from the drugstore and threw it to Shaoli. Li, this toilet water has the effect of refreshing the mind. If you feel tired from practicing and feel like you can't go on any longer, just apply some under your nose and on both sides of your forehead. By the way, it can also repel mosquitoes. Might Guy didn't speak the whole time. Although he was careless, he was not stupid. There is obviously an irreconcilable conflict between Mizuki and third generation. Although he has no objection to Mizuki, he will not openly be friends with Mizuki. After Mizuki left, Guy suddenly said, Li Yo, try to have as little contact with him as possible from now on. Shaoli frowned and asked, why, teacher Guy? Guy sighed, I can't tell you the specifics. This involves the higher-ups in the village. In short, having too much contact with Mizuki will not be good for you. Shaoli was not convinced and said, Teacher Guy, you once said that youth means moving forward courageously and youth means being fearless. Although I don't know what happened between the top management and Master Mizuki, as long as Master Mizuki is still in Konoha, he is Konoha's ninja and our companion. How can we isolate him? How can we be afraid of power, but what about being timid? Guy responded with silence. When it comes to high-level people, he can't explain it. He didn't want to see Shaoli embark on a road of no return and get too close to Mizuki. What if the third generation regarded him as Mizuki's accomplice? The third generation looks kind, but Guy knows that the third generation is not as kind as it seems. But I don't know how to persuade. He could only sigh, thinking that he would have to train with Shaoli during non-mission hours in the future, leaving him no chance to interact with Mizuki. Mizuki walked towards the market. The sound of the system was also ringing in his ears. Ding! Host is awarded to Disciple Lock. A bottle of Li's refreshing toilet water will trigger thousands of returns. Congratulations to host, you have received a bottle of Liushen toilet water. Liushen toilet water, applied under the nose, can repel all mosquitoes within a range of 300 meters. It can increase mental power 6 times and lasts for 10 seconds. Note: you can only use it once every 24 hours, otherwise the brain will be overloaded and have no time to rest, and it will become dementia. Mizuki's face was filled with surprise. It increases mental power by 6 times, although it is temporary and only lasts for 10 seconds. But as long as it's used well, what does Tsukuyomi mean? I'm not even afraid of infinite Tsukuyomi. It just takes too long to cool down. You can only use it once a day. Hey, it would be great if it could be permanently improved. Back in the village, it was already dark. Mizuki went to Ichiraku Ramen restaurant and ordered a bowl of tonkatsu ramen. While waiting for the ramen to be made, I studied the Narukumi technique. Time cannot be wasted. Soon, the tonkatsu ramen was prepared by hand, and Iris took out the ramen. Mizuki-sensei, this is your tonkatsu ramen, please enjoy it slowly. Mizuki smiled, thank you. By the way, get me the vinegar on the counter. I like to add vinegar to my noodles. Calamus, okay, wait a minute. There were a lot of condiments on the counter, and a chorus picked up a bottle. Mizuki took it, opened the lid and poured it into the bowl. Just then, Shoda shouted, wait a minute. I picked it up by mistake. It's not vinegar, it's soy sauce. He scolded again. Calamus, what's wrong with you today? You're so distracted, this is the first time you got the wrong seasoning. A chorus apologized hurriedly. Mizuki-sensei, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. Mizuki smiled and said, it doesn't matter, I just need some soy sauce too. While a chorus turned around to get the vinegar, Mizuki's eyes flashed. The next moment, there was a squeak above the head, and a mouse fell from the ceiling, fell right into Mizuki's bowl, and then struggled out and ran around, making a mess all over the table. Why? Mizuki stood up, speechless. Tazada apologized with a face full of apology. Mizuki-sensei, I'm very sorry. I didn't expect this to happen. Mizuki sighed. It's a pity that a good bowl of ramen was wasted like this. This is all the shop's mistake. I am willing to compensate 10 times and give away 10 free ramen coupons. I just hope that Mr. Mizuki will not blame it and not spread this matter to anyone. The hand movements were extremely fast, and the compensation money and ramen coupons were handed directly to Mizuki's hands. I'll make another bowl of ramen and ask Mizuki-sensei to wait a moment. Calamus, what are you doing standing still? Clean it up quickly. Mizuki waved his hand and said, no need. This mouse was moving in the bowl just now. It disgusted me. I won't eat ramen today. After saying that, he turned around and left. After Mizuki left, the apologetic smile on his face could no longer be maintained, and his face became sad and sad. Full of anger, he vented it on Calamus's head. Calamus, what's going on with you today? You always get the wrong seasonings, and you don't even clean up properly. Rats have come in. Today's losses are so great, all of them are on your shoulders. In the Hokage office, third generation rested his chin on his hands and looked at the crystal ball on the table. He saw everything that happened in the Ichiraku ramen restaurant. It was actually destroyed by a mouse. Luck. Or is he aware of it? Walking on the street, Mizuki looked normal. But in his heart, he was already filled with anger. He even resorted to such despicable methods. It wouldn't be a big deal that a chorus made the mistake of vinegar and soy sauce. Just shouting a few words with his hands, other customers in the store didn't care at all. As long as we are human, we will make mistakes sometimes. Others couldn't detect anything unusual, so who would have thought that someone would be murdered in their own village? But Mizuki is different. He is a time traveler himself, and the third generation has always wanted to kill him, which makes him very wary. He will not ignore any disturbance, nor dare to ignore it. Because if there is a slight mistake, you may die. Sensing something was wrong, Mizuki did not make a big show of it, but quietly started Tai Chi. A mouse happened to pass by on the beam above his head, and was knocked down by the force of the fist, and fell into the bowl. Immediately afterwards, Mizuki used echolocation to watch the mouse. The rat escaped outside the house and ran into the sewer. It began to stagger when walking, and then its mouth and nose began to bleed, and it died. It took less than 10 seconds before and after. You can imagine how poisonous the poison was in that noodles. How vicious. Mizuki was filled with fear just thinking about it. It's almost the end. Brother Mouse, you can go in peace. I will avenge you personally. A cold murderous intent flashed in Mizuki's eyes. He has made up his mind that he must kill the third generation himself. In the days that followed, Mizuki became more cautious, eating and drinking carefully, and kept echolocation on. I didn't even dare to sleep deeply, for fear of lying on the bed one night and lying on the couch the next morning. It's torture, but there's nothing you can do about it. You'll get caught if you're not careful. He has encountered poisoning in food and soup several times. Those guys disguised themselves in various ways, sneaked into the kitchen, and poisoned people while the food was being served. If Mizuki's echolocation hadn't been turned on, he wouldn't have been poisoned so many times. Seeing that eating out was too risky, he decided to cook it at home. As a result, the condiments were also poisonous, and the tap water flowing out of the faucet was also extremely poisonous. In the Hokage office, third generation looked very gloomy. He had confirmed that Mizuki really noticed. In the past few days, Danzo's people have poisoned them 5 times, but they all failed due to various coincidences. The mouse fell into the noodle bowl, the waiter who served the food suddenly slipped, the poisonous balls fell to the ground, the kitchen caught fire and all the condiments were burned, and the tap was broken. It doesn't matter if it happens once or twice, but it is like this every time. It is obvious that it is not a coincidence. Danzo is a waste, and the people he sent are also waste. I can't even play the role of Iris well, and I can get vinegar and soy sauce wrong. Mizuki immediately saw the flaws. Third generation also admires Mizuki's vigilance, being able to notice even the smallest things. Why? Sighing, third generation summoned an Anbu. Go get Danzo. I'll meet him on the roof. After giving instructions, third generation went up to the roof, clasped his hands behind his back, and looked up at the Hokage statues on the Hokage rock. Soon, Danzo arrived. There were only 2 of them on the roof. Danzo, please stop for now. The Chunin exam is about to begin. We have received news that ninjas from various villages who have come to take the exam are arriving one after another. Orochimaru's plan to collapse Konoha must be carefully prepared. Therefore, I will directly dispatch the manpower at the route for the time being. Mizuki, please leave it alone for now. When Danzo heard this, he said, what kind of business is this? You can directly dispatch the root cause. This is to take away the last bit of power in my hand. Hiruzen, I want to lead the roots to the border to monitor Tsunagaku's movements. Just stay in Konoha and leave Sand Shinobi to me. Third generation narrowed his eyes and said, Danzo, I'm not negotiating with you. On the night of Nine Tails 12 years ago, you contracted the power of your roots and did not participate in the attack on Nine Tails. I don't blame you. This time, I won't let you do whatever you want. Danzo was angry, but there was nothing he could do. Who calls himself not a Hokage? What about Mizuki? How do you kill him? What if Mizuki survives Orochimaru's attack and turns against us? Third generation. It wasn't because of the root mistake that Mizuki became more vigilant. Originally, he died that night at Ichiraku Ramen restaurant. Danzo snorted coldly and stopped talking. He knew he was in the wrong, and he was also cursing the root ninja who transformed into a calamus. Mizuki, I'll take care of it myself, so just leave it alone. During this period, until the Chunin exam is over, you should stay at home and do not go out at will. Third generation turned around, eyes cold. Danzo, I know there is still a connection between you and Orochimaru, but this time it is about the survival of Konoha, and I hope you will not make a mistake. Danzo said, Hiruzen, what do you mean by this? Didn't I do so much for Konoha? Third generation sneered and turned to leave. When they reached the stairs, third generation paused. Danzo, when you go back, notify all root members to gather at the Hokage building tomorrow morning and follow my orders. Besides, you're not fit to be a Hokage. After saying that, third generation went downstairs. Danzo looked at the disappearing figure of third generation, his heart filled with anger. Am I not cut out to be a Hokage? Hiruzen, do you still have the nerve to say this? Look at how weak Konoha has become under your incompetent leadership over the years. A person who is timid even in killing a Mizuki is not suitable to be a Hokage at all. I am the most suitable person to be a Hokage. Only I can lead the village back to its peak. Only I am the hope of the Fire Nation. Danzo's ambitions have expanded even more under the stimulation of the third generation. After leaving the Hokage building and walking back to the base, Danzo was filled with dissatisfaction. By the time he returned to base, a decision had been made. Mizuki has no heartfelt feelings for Konoha. The key is that he is not weak and has already surpassed half of the Jonin. Keeping such a person would be too harmful to Konoha. The Chunin exam is coming soon, and he has to deal with Orochimaru's plan to collapse Konoha. I'm afraid Hiruzen has given up on killing Mizuki. At most, he can send Mizuki out of the village on a long-term mission before the Chunin exam. But it's not safe. There was a glint in Danzo's eyes. Since we can't kill him, there is only one way to control him. After the Chunin exam is over and Hiruzen is killed by Orochimaru, I can control Mizuki to continue destroying Konoha, and then I will kill him myself. In this way, my reputation in the village will reach its peak, and my accession to the 5th Hokage will be confirmed. He raised his hand to cover his bandaged right eye with a smile on his face. This eye is finally going to be put to great use. He waved his hand to summon a root ninja and ordered, Go, ask Mizuki to come here to meet me. Yes, Gen Nin immediately left. At the same time, the Hokage office building, third generation walked into the mission hall and ordered, Bring me the latest mission authorization letter. Uruka immediately brought the power of attorney, and third generation flipped through it, locking in a task. Protect the caravan heading to the country of Tea, mission level C. Uruka, leave this task to Mizuki, inform him to pick it up and set off early tomorrow morning. Yes, Lord Third Generation. Uruka responded. Looking at the back of third generation leaving, Uruka was filled with worry. He guessed that this was third generation's plan against Mizuki again. Unfortunately, he is just an ordinary chunin and has no right to speak. He can only watch the life and death of his friends. Third generation returned to the office, wrote a note, rolled it up, put it in a thin bamboo tube, and stuffed the bamboo tube tightly with a stopper. Holding the bamboo tube, he walked to the windowsill. On the windowsill, a crow looked sideways at third generation. Third generation tied the bamboo tube to the crow's leg and said, "Go." The crow croaked twice, fluttered its wings, and flew away into the distance. At this time, Mizuki is practicing magic at the 8th training ground. Naraku meets technique. The training object is a little squirrel in the tree. The poor squirrel was pulling at a pine cone, trying to get out the pine nuts. Suddenly, there was a trance in front of my eyes. The pine cone turned into a snake and instantly entangled the squirrel, getting tighter and tighter. The squirrel struggled wildly and opened its mouth to scream, but to no avail. It only felt that its body was getting tighter and tighter, its breathing was getting more and more difficult, and it was almost suffocating. Suddenly, the scene changed, the snake was gone, and the pine cone was still a pine cone. But the little squirrel's eyes were dull, he was unsteady on his feet, and fell to the ground with a plop. It was frightened and fainted by Mizuki's genjutsu. Me's hair, little squirrel, I'm sorry. Mizuki said he felt very guilty and sorry for this little squirrel. It's innocent. As compensation, I decided to give you lots of delicious food. Mizuki rushed to the tree, picked a lot of pine cones, and piled them around the little squirrel. When he thought of the little squirrel waking up and seeing so many pine cones around him, he was so happy that he couldn't help himself. The guilt in Mizuki's heart immediately disappeared a lot. Still not proficient enough, then find another practice target. He looked around and quickly zeroed in on another squirrel not far away. As his eyes locked, the little squirrel also looked towards Mizuki, his eyes full of resistance and fear. Don't come over here. Hey, don't worry, I will be very gentle. Just as he was about to take action, suddenly, a masked ninja appeared and jumped in front of Mizuki in a few steps. Gen Nin. Mizuki frowned, not knowing what this rude nin wanted to do when he stood in front of him. Mizuki, Lord Danzo, please come with me. Mizuki curled his lips and said, no time. Gen Nin was stunned and said, Master Danzo comes to you, how dare you refuse? Mizuki dug his ears with his fingers and mocked, I'm not a ninja, why should I listen to Danzo? Okay, I'm annoyed when I see your roots. Get out of here and don't disturb my practice. The root ninja was angry, but he didn't dare to take action. Don't you have to ask Mr. Danzo to come to you in person? Genin began to threaten. Mizuki said coldly, I told you to get out, you don't understand human language, right? The next moment, his eyes were fixed on this root ninja, and Naraku saw technique activated. For a moment, the genin fell into fear, his eyes widened and his body stiffened. But in just 1 second, the genin got rid of the control of the illusion. Mizuki, you dare to use genjutsu to attack the ninjas in the village. Do you know what this is? Mizuki chuckled. I'm just sparring with you, and I didn't hurt you. What's your name? Of course, if you continue to stay here and complain, then I don't mind letting you experience the surprise of being killed by me. Mizuki refused to come to see me and attacked you with genjutsu. Danzo asked calmly, without much reaction. In that case, I will go see him in person. His right eye was already hungry and thirsty. In Danzo's view, the distinguished heavenly gods are a force that can cause war, and he regards them as treasures and will not use them easily. Shisui originally planned to use the distinguished heavenly gods to modify the will of the Uchiha clan's top leaders so that the Uchiha clan would give up the coup. At that time Danzo said, you actually want to use such precious power to prevent a mere coup. A mere coup, in Danzo's eyes, is not worth mentioning, and there is no need to use distinguished heavenly gods at all. But now that distinguished heavenly gods can help themselves become 5th Hokage, that's a different story. Take control of Mizuki and kill the 3rd generation during the Chunin exam. Or wait until the 3rd generation is killed by Orochimaru, and then let Mizuki wreak havoc on Konoha. All in all, let Mizuki become a very evil person who is extremely hated by the villagers. Then he appeared on the scene, killed Mizuki, and saved the village from danger. By then, with great credit and prestige, 5th Hokage will definitely belong to itself. Thinking of this, a smile appeared on Danzo's usually serious face. Hiruzen, don't blame me. Only under my leadership can the village grow. He left the root base with several of his men and headed to the 8th training ground. But before he could reach the entrance of the 8th training ground, he was blocked by the 3rd Hokage. Danzo, I told you not to do anything on your own. 3rd generation only thought that Danzo and his men wanted to attack Mizuki, so they immediately came to stop him after discovering it. He felt that Danzo's strength was not enough to kill Mizuki. Even if they are killed, there will be all kinds of rumors in the village, which is not conducive to management. On the occasion of the Chunin examination and the imminent plan for the collapse of Konoha, the village needs to be stable and not cause any trouble. The most important thing is that 3rd generation already has a safer plan, so what needs to be done now is to stabilize Mizuki, otherwise the plan will fail before it even starts. Hiruzen, I am not meeting Mizuki to use force. There is no need for you to stop me. Danzo explained. Of course, 3rd generation didn't believe it and asked, why did you see him? Of course Danzo would not tell the truth, but lied, I want to apologize to him for what happened at the meeting that day and see if I can make things right. I am sincere. Maybe I can make him give up his hatred of Konoha. If I give him a big gift, he will definitely come back to his heart. He is not weak. If he can be saved, it will be a great thing for the village. 3rd generation sneered inwardly. Save, if this were said by someone else, it might be true. But I don't believe a word that comes out of your mouth, Danzo. Okay, even if you apologize and redeem yourself, it's up to me, the Hokage, to do it. It's not appropriate for you to go. Turn around immediately. Do not communicate with Mizuki without my permission. Danzo looked gloomy and wished he could use distinguished heavenly gods on 3rd generation. But he can't do that. Don't you dare. Of course not. Danzo can even assassinate the 3rd generation, there is nothing he dares not do. So, it's not that I don't dare, it's that I can't do it. Distinguished heavenly gods is very powerful and is known as the most powerful illusion. You can directly invade the opponent's brain and modify the opponent's will without being discovered by the opponent. Itachi's transplanted Shisui Sharingan into Crow Eyes, with just one glance, covered the impure world reincarnation with distinguished heavenly gods, freeing Itachi from Yakushi Kabuto's control. Only in the hands of Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Itachi, distinguished heavenly gods can be called the strongest illusion, but in the hands of Danzo, it is extremely weak. Danzo doesn't have Uchiha blood, and even after transplanting Shisui's eyes, he still can't control his arms. A sword held in a baby's hand has no power to kill the enemy. The pearl fell into the pig pen and flowed with the excrement and urine. This is why, for so many years, Danzo has not used distinguished heavenly gods on 3rd generation in an attempt to usurp the Hokage position. Itachi uses distinguished heavenly gods, and a single stare will do the trick. Switching to Danzo is not that simple. First you have to remove the bandage, and then you have to keep looking at 3rd generation with your right eye for a few seconds before it takes effect. Unless the 3rd generation was a fool, they would have noticed Danzo's intentions immediately. After all, Shisui's Mangekyo Sharingan, 3rd generation met. The crime of trying to control the Hokage with illusions was enough to kill Danzo several times. So the question is it okay to secretly use it on 3rd generation without taking off the bandage? No way. Through gauze, the effect of distinguished heavenly gods is greatly reduced. In the anime, during the 5-Kage Alliance, Danzo used distinguished heavenly gods on Mifune, the leader of the Iron Kingdom, through gauze, in an attempt to control Mifune to support him as the leader of the alliance. As a result, he was discovered and exposed by Qing's white eyes, and Danzo was forced to stop. As soon as Danzo stopped, Mifune immediately returned to normal. This shows that the distinguished heavenly gods at that time only temporarily modified Mifune's will and could not take effect permanently. So, taken together, Danzo will definitely fail if he wants to use distinguished heavenly gods to control the 3rd generation. Hiruzen, everything I do is for Konoha. You stopped me today, I hope you won't regret it in the future. Danzo knows that now that the 3rd generation is here, it is useless for him to persist, but will expose the distinguished heavenly gods. Therefore, he could only turn around and leave. Of course, I'm just leaving temporarily. It was impossible to give up. How could he miss such a good opportunity? Watching Danzo leave, third generation breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, I noticed it in time and came to stop it, otherwise my plan would have been ruined. But he didn't know that after Danzo left, he quickly used the transformation technique to change his body and appearance, and made one of his subordinates look like him to confuse the audience. At the 8th training ground, Mizuki's Naraku becomes more and more skilled at technique. The effect of the illusion is getting stronger and stronger. If only that genin hadn't left, he would have been my sparring partner. With my current level of illusion, I will never let him break free for 1 second. I can control him for 3 seconds at least. At this moment, the first little squirrel that was unconscious due to the illusion finally woke up. Then, seeing the pine cones piled up around it, it screamed and fainted again. Hey, my technique hasn't been used yet, why did it faint? Mizuki was confused. Could it be that my illusion skills have already reached the point where I can make whoever I want to faint? Forget it, let's find another little animal. At this moment, footsteps sounded behind him. Mizuki turned around and saw that it was a strange ninja. He didn't pay much attention to it at first, but the look in his eyes made him feel disgusted. This look seemed familiar to Mizuki. Seems like I've seen it somewhere. Suddenly, the opponent's right eye changed, the pupil turned blood red, and inside the pupil, a large black four-cornered windmill appeared. Mizuki couldn't help but exclaimed, "This is Uchiha Shisui's Mangekyo Sharingan. No, distinguished heavenly gods." Combined with the familiar look in his eyes, Mizuki was already sure that the person in front of him was Danzo. Danzo was also shocked when he heard this. How did Mizuki know Shisui's Sharingan? How did you know about distinguished heavenly gods? But after being shocked, the release of distinguished heavenly gods did not stop. Invisible spiritual power surged towards Mizuki, trying to change Mizuki's mind. Mizuki also moved quickly. The storage ring on his finger flashed, and the bottle of Liushan toilet water returned by the system appeared. Open the cap and apply under the nose, and it's done in one go. His nostrils expanded and he took a deep breath. In an instant, he felt that his whole brain was ventilated. His mind became extremely clear-headed and his brain turned super fast. Naraku saw that there were many things he didn't understand about technique, and he could easily understand them at this moment. Mental strength increased 6 times, this is no joke. Mizuki's mental power was originally twice as strong as others, but now it has increased 6 times. In total, it is equivalent to 14 times that of others. An invisible whirlwind blew around him, a spiritual storm. Mizuki closed his eyes, and miraculously, he could see the objects around him. Not seeing with the physical eyes, but seeing with the spiritual eyes. Although the range is small, it is indeed seen, and it is clearer and more subtle than what can be seen with the naked eye. Even dust and bacteria that are invisible to the naked eye can be clearly seen through his spiritual eyes. At this time, Mizuki clearly saw a black force coming towards him. This is the power of distinguished heavenly gods, right? This black power was blocked by the whirlwind composed of mental power and could not advance even an inch. Distinguished heavenly gods, Danzo is willing to use distinguished heavenly gods on me. Fortunately, I have Liushan toilet water, otherwise today would be over. Being controlled by the distinguished heavenly gods and becoming Danzo's puppet would be worse than death. He opened his eyes and looked at Danzo. The effect of Liushan dew only lasts for 10 seconds. During these 10 seconds, he must either escape from here or fight back to make Danzo stop using distinguished heavenly gods. It was impossible to escape, a Danzo, not enough to let Mizuki escape. So, fight back. If you want to control me with distinguished heavenly gods, you are seeking death. Mizuki shouted loudly, paraded behind Danzo, and the kunai pierced directly into Danzo's back. Killed with one move, but Mizuki didn't relax. Sure enough, the next moment, Danzo's body disappeared into thin air. Not far from Mizuki, an intact Danzo appeared. His right eye is still staring at Mizuki, and the power of distinguished heavenly gods continues. Izanagi, one of the ultimate eye skills of the Uchiha clan, can turn things that are not good for you within a period of time into nothing, and only choose things that are good for you to turn into reality. I don't believe I can't kill you. Apparating behind Danzo again, the kunai stabbed Danzo through the heart again. It's Izanagi again. Danzo is still intact. The duration of Liushin toilet water has elapsed for 3 seconds. At this point, Danzo could no longer hold on. His right eye shed tears of blood, and his expression became painful. Trash, you can't hold on for only 3 seconds. Mizuki sneered inwardly. The third time he apparated behind Danzo, another kunai killed him, and Danzo consumed the third Sharingan. When Danzo reappeared, he had closed his right eye, blood and tears streaming down from the corner of his eye. He looked at Mizuki with his left eye, confused, already doubting life. Why didn't it succeed? Mizuki didn't care what his expression was. He used his disguise again, came behind Danzo, and pierced Danzo's heart. Danzo dies again. When he appears again, use Earth style immediately. Rock Shinobi technique, escaped underground and fled into the distance. Mizuki didn't chase him, and even if he wanted to, he couldn't. Fortunately, I have Liushin toilet water. It was originally to guard against Uchiha Itachi's Tsukuyomi, but who knows, Tsukuyomi didn't encounter him first, but instead encountered the more awesome distinguished heavenly gods first. It's a pity that Danzo is not easy to kill, otherwise he would have to be killed today. In the 8th training ground, there are many people practicing. The battle here has been discovered, and no one thinks it is a friendly sparring match. Because Danzo's scream after being pierced through the heart by a kunai cannot be faked. The 5th team led by Guy was also in the training ground. Neji used his Byakugan immediately and observed most of the battle. Many people gathered here. After 10 seconds passed, Mizuki felt his mind go empty, and a strong feeling of discomfort surged from the inside out. It was like suddenly rising from the ground to an altitude of 10,000 meters, suffocating due to lack of oxygen. Uncomfortable. It's unbearable to describe in words. At this time, several teams of ninjas had gathered. The 3rd Hokage, who was originally outside the 8th training ground, also arrived with several Anbu. Mizuki, what's happening here? 3rd generation asked. Mizuki shook his head, suppressing the discomfort, and recounted what happened without mentioning Danzo's name. From beginning to end, Danzo appears as another person. Although Mizuki knew it was him, he had no proof. Are you sure it's the Mangekyo Sharingan, shaped like a large 4-cornered windmill? Also, that person was stabbed to death 4 times by you, but he was still able to come back to life. After listening to Mizuki's story, 3rd generation's expression changed slightly and he asked questions one after another. Uchiha Shisui's Mangekyo pupil technique, distinguished heavenly gods, and the Uchiha clan's ultimate pupil technique, Izanagi, made him wary. He even suspected that Mizuki had been controlled by the distinguished heavenly gods. Mizuki nodded and said, I'm 100% sure. 3rd generation asked, do you have evidence? Mizuki frowned, he couldn't answer this question. No one else was present just now, so where can I get the evidence? At this moment, Neji stood up and said, 3rd Hokage-sama, I can prove it. My Byakugan saw the battle process, and it is no different from what Mizuki-sensei said. Besides Neji, one other person stood up. Hyuga Hinata from Class 8. Fire. Hokage-sama, I saw it too. 3rd generation nodded. Since you have all seen it, it means that it is indeed true. In fact, at this time, 3rd generation wanted to reveal the functions of distinguished heavenly gods, and then tell everyone that Mizuki was controlled and needed to restrict his freedom. If Mizuki agrees to be restricted from freedom, then 3rd generation has 1,000 ways to kill him. If Mizuki doesn't agree, it means he is disobeying the Hokage's order. 3rd generation can justly accuse Mizuki and then kill him. But after much thought, 3rd generation finally gave up on the idea. The Chunin exam is coming soon, Konoha needs stability, and if it doesn't take action in the village, then we won't take action. Moreover, the plan to kill Mizuki has already been made, and a series of arrangements have been made, and it is not a good thing to change it midway. Attention Anbu, according to the description of the appearance, the whole village is searching for the suspicious person. Once discovered, monitor and report immediately. In fact, 3rd generation had already suspected Danzo at this time. After all, Izanagi's performance requires Sharingan, 4 Sharingans, which are not available to ordinary people. The genocide of Uchiha was driven by Danzo. A large amount of Sharingan fell into Danzo's hands. There's also Shisui's death. Third generation didn't know why Shisui died before, but now, he figured it out. Mizuki, come to my office. Everyone else, please disperse. In Hokage's office, third generation handed over a task authorization letter. There is someone in the village who wants to do harm to you. You should go and carry out this task. Just go out and avoid the limelight. Mizuki took the mission and took a look, protecting the caravan heading to the country of tea. The mission level was C. Go back and get ready. Let's set off tomorrow morning. After leaving the Hokage building, Mizuki wondered what kind of tricks the third generation was up to. The mission is ordinary, nothing special. But Mizuki felt that there was definitely a conspiracy. Otherwise, for a simple C-level task, third generation would not have needed to call him to the office alone and give instructions personally. Third generation has no good intentions, and there is a high probability that there will be an ambush on the road. Mizuki is still very cautious. Although his current strength is enough to deal with various threats, it does not mean that he is invincible. Shaoli still has a chance to return it, and he has to give it away before setting off tomorrow. The Tai Chi and toilet water presented earlier are the result of careful consideration. The third gift cannot be given casually. So, what should I give? Give me another 18 dragon subduing palms or something. Mizuki shook his head, rejecting this idea. To grant certain items and knowledge to a disciple, he must have it himself or know how to do it. He knows Tai Chi, so he can grant it. Although it is only the old man's version of physical fitness, at least it has something. As for the 18 dragon subduing palms, he doesn't know it at all. You can't just give me a name. Walking on the street, Mizuki kept thinking about it, but couldn't think of anything to give. The key is that he subconsciously believes that he is not weak now and has nothing missing, so he has lost his direction. Before, he knew that he was afraid of Tsukuyomi, so he gave her toilet water to improve her mental strength. He knew that he was not good at physical skills, so he gave her Tai Chi. Now that he felt he had no shortcomings, he suddenly became confused. As he walked, he came to the door of a shop, where a goldfish fishing activity was being held, and many children gathered. The children gathered around the pool, holding nets in their hands, fishing for goldfish in the water. The rules of the activity are very simple. For every 3 taels spent, you can catch fish for 5 minutes, and all the goldfish you catch will be yours. Most of the children use a net to catch fish. There are also a few children who hold a net bag in each hand and pay double. These children use both hands, but the results are not good. They often look left and right, and the goldfish they catch are not as many as those children who hold a net bag. The money given was more, but the fish caught were less. The children were so anxious that they screamed. They couldn't figure out why this was happening. The adults watching on the side know that doing things depends on concentration, trying to grasp it with both hands, but often the result is that both hands are empty. Mizuki was not in the habit of watching the excitement, so he glanced at it and walked away. But before he took 2 steps, an idea suddenly flashed in his mind. Yes, you can give this as a gift. Mizuki was very happy when he thought of what he was going to award, and couldn't wait to go to the 8th training ground to find Shaoli. Team 5 used to train at the 8th training ground, and they probably haven't left yet. Shaoli has a simple mind and doesn't have so many tricks. Maybe he can really learn it. When we arrived at the 8th training ground, we quickly found a few people from the 5th class. Guy Jonin, excuse me, I'll look for Shaoli, it only takes a few minutes. Guy didn't stop. Although he was worried that the relationship between Shaoli and Mizuki would displease the senior management, there was no big problem with the simple contact. Just don't have personal contact too often. Master Mizuki, what do you want from me? How is your understanding of Tai Chi? Mizuki led Shaoli not far away and asked. Shaoli shook his head. I still haven't realized it at all. Mizuki sighed inwardly. Tai Chi was a bit more profound after all, and with a simple mind like Shaoli's, it was difficult to get started. It seems that Tai Chi is not suitable for you. In that case, give up. Now, I want to teach you another ability. Shaoli was a little discouraged and said, let's forget it. My thinking ability is not strong. I am only suitable for learning simple things. Things that are too complicated are not suitable for me. He just thought that Mizuki was going to teach him something complicated and difficult to understand again. Mizuki smiled and said, don't worry, What you get this time may not be difficult for you. He picked up 2 branches from the ground and handed them to Xiao Li. Take a branch in each hand and use it as a pen to draw on the ground. Draw a circle with your left hand and a square with your right hand. Start and end at the same time. Try it and see if it works. Xiao Li didn't know why, but he still did as he was told, squatting on the ground and moving his hands at the same time. Mizuki watched nervously, and then he saw that Xiao Li had really drawn it. Although the circles and squares drawn were not very standard, it was indeed a success. Great, it really works. Mizuki was overjoyed. Xiao Li still doesn't understand Mizuki's intentions, and doesn't know why Mizuki is so happy. Mizuki did not explain immediately, but said, continue, this time change the way, write the word, left, with the left hand, and the word, right, with the right hand. Xiao Li did it again, but this time it was more difficult. He tried several times before he succeeded. Moreover, the 2 characters written out, the character, right, is relatively standard, and the character, left, is crooked, which is related to the habit of writing with the right hand. Genius, Xiao Li, you are definitely a genius. Xiao Li curiously asked, Master, what does this have to do with being a genius? Mizuki looked at Xiao Li and said 4 words, do 2 things at once. Xiao Li still doesn't understand. Well, Mizuki can only explain it a little more specifically. Most people are unable to do 2 different things with their left and right hands at the same time. In other words, they can only focus on one thing. But you are special. Your hands can do different things at the same time. This is double tasking. Think about it. When fighting, if your left hand and right hand, or hands and feet, use different physical techniques at the same time, is it equivalent to you becoming 2 people? After Mizuki explained this, Xiao Li finally figured it out. I am alone, can I be used as 2 people? Mizuki nodded. For example, when you use Leaf Hurricane with your feet, your free hand can fire shurikens at the same time. When the enemy faces you alone, it is equivalent to facing 2 people. It will be difficult to parry. In short, you can perform 2 different attacks at the same time. Of course, you need to practice one mind and 2. Once you become proficient, you can definitely achieve the terrifying effect of 1 + 1 being greater than 2. Mizuki wasn't kidding. Being able to do 2 things at once will greatly increase combat effectiveness. In Jin Yong's novels, there are 3 people who can multitask, Zhou Botong, Guo Jing, and Xiaolong NV. Speaking of Little Dragon Girl alone, after learning to fight left and right in the cave, her fighting ability soared. As soon as she came out of the cave, she would hang up Jinlin Dharma King and drive him away. Later in the Chongyang Palace, he first went one-on-one with King Jinlin, injuring Jinlin, and then started a 1v9 frantic battle mode. Dual purpose, an absolutely practical combat talent. Xiao Li's eyes became brighter and brighter. Likewise, an unabashed smile appeared on Mizuki's lips. The system prompt has already sounded. Ding. Host is awarded to Disciple Lock. Li Yixin used training methods to trigger 8,888 times the return. Congratulations to host, you have obtained the talent of multitasking. At this moment, Mizuki noticed that something had changed in him. But he couldn't tell the specifics. This feeling was very strange. He squatted down and also used 2 branches to draw a circle with his left hand and a square with his right hand. This kind of thing that was impossible before can now be done easily. I always felt that at that moment, I had a mental breakdown. Joking, Mizuki was very excited. This kind of multitasking way of thinking made him feel amazing. Can I use 2 ninjutsu at the same time? Ninjas cannot use 2 ninjutsu at the same time. Every time you cast a ninjutsu, you need to control the chakra in the body to run according to a specific trajectory. The seal is to assist the ninja in controlling the trajectory of the chakra. People like Mizuki who have strong chakra control ability can directly control the operation of chakra with their thoughts without forming seals. But even so, he can only release 1 jutsu at a time. Because it is impossible to do 2 things while being distracted. The next ninjutsu can only be cast after the previous ninjutsu has been successfully performed. Now that I have the talent of dual tasking, can I control chakra, run 2 trajectories at the same time, and perform 2 ninjutsu? He wanted to see it immediately, but there were so many people here that it was not convenient to experiment. So, I could only suppress my curiosity and give it up for now. Li, I've taught you the method. Go back and practice more. As long as you can master multitasking, your strength will definitely improve to a higher level. After Mizuki left, Xiaoli returned to Guy's side. Guy didn't ask any more questions, but Tiantian asked curiously, Li, what did Mizuki-senpai say when he came to you? I saw you holding a branch and seemed to be drawing on the ground. Xiaoli nodded and said, yes, Master Mizuki asked me to use 2 branches to draw a circle on the ground with my left hand and a square with my right hand. Tiantian asked, what's the use of this? Xiaoli, double tasking. Master Mizuki said that most people can only do one thing at the same time, but I can do 2 things at the same time. When fighting, I am alone, or it can be equivalent to 2 people. For example, while using Leaf Great Whirlwind, my hand can throw shurikens. The enemy facing me is like facing 2 enemies. Eyes widened every day. This, are you kidding? One person can be used as 2 people. How is this possible? Xiaoli said, I will demonstrate it to you. He squatted down, drew a circle with his left hand, and a square with his right hand, all in one go. Tiantian raised his eyebrows and said, it's not difficult at all. She also squatted down and imitated Xiaoli, but she soon gave up. If she could take care of the left side, she couldn't take care of the right side. At the same time, she could only focus on one hand. Compared with Xiaoli, he is not in the same dimension at all. Xiaoli was on the ground again, using both hands to write different words, all of which were done easily. Tiantian was shocked. Li, how on earth did you do it? Xiaoli said, I think it's very simple, it should be innate. Master Mizuki said that only those with simple hearts and simple thoughts can do it. On the contrary, the smarter and more complicated the person, the harder it is to do it. Tiantian is speechless. Smart people can't do it, but stupid people can do it. This makes no sense. Neji, try it too and see if you can do it. Tiantian said. Neji shook his head and said, I've already tried it, just like you. You have to focus on one hand, otherwise you won't be able to draw a circle or a square. It's impossible to take care of both hands. Tiantian said to Guy again, Teacher Guy, you should try it too. Guy looked serious, nodded, and tried. As a result, he succeeded. Neji and Tenten looked at each other and thought, as Mizuki said, smart people can't do it, but stupid people can succeed. Guy stared blankly at the circles and squares he drew on the ground. At this moment, he seemed to have opened the door to the new world. Root base. Danzo escaped all the way back and is still in a state of confusion. Why did distinguished heavenly gods not work on him? Distinguished heavenly gods. The most powerful illusion. Unable to control Mizuki. What kind of monster is Mizuki? Danzo was already starting to feel fear. If it weren't for the fact that Mizuki didn't have bandages on his body, he would have thought that Mizuki, like him, also transplanted Sharingan and used Izanagi to offset the negative effects of distinguished heavenly gods. The loss this time is too great. Izanagi was defeated 4 times, 4 Sharingans were consumed, and Danzo was heartbroken to the point of bleeding. Although he had looted a lot of Sharingans on the night when Uchiha was exterminated, losing 4 of them at once was too crazy. If Mizuki is successfully controlled, the loss of 4 Sharingan will be nothing. The key is, it didn't succeed. Lost in vain. In addition to losing 4 Sharingans, the distinguished heavenly gods are also temporarily unavailable. Danzo's face was gloomy. Distinguished heavenly gods is a technique with a very long cooldown. If used once, it cannot be used again until 10 years later. Although Danzo has been transplanted with Hashirama cells, which can greatly reduce the cooldown time of distinguished heavenly gods, it will take at least 2 or 3 years before it can be used again. Just when Danzo was sulking, a genin suddenly came to him. Lord Danzo, the 3rd Hokage is coming with a large number of Anbu. Danzo's expression changed. What does Hiruzen want to do with such a big fanfare? Soon, the 3rd generation arrived. Danzo, hand over Shisui's eyes. This is the property of the village and you have no right to take it as your own. 3rd generation is very straightforward. Danzo was shocked, but his expression remained unchanged. They are all veteran actors, and the city still has this. Hiruzen, are you kidding me? Shisui has been dead for so many years and his body has not been found. You ask me for his eyes. Where do you start talking about this? Of course Danzo refused to admit it. Third generation snorted and waved, and an Anbu stepped forward from behind. Under the mask, a pair of white eyes stared at Danzo's right eye. This is a member of the Hyuga family. As an elder of Konoha and a leader at the root, Danzo holds a high position of authority, so the Hyuga family dare not investigate him with their white eyes. Moreover, Danzo is like a mouse, staying in the sewers all day and night, rarely showing up, and there are not many opportunities for Hyuga ninjas to encounter him. This also resulted in Danzo possessing Shisui's eyes for so many years without being discovered by the third generation. Perhaps, third generation had suspicions for a long time, but because of their friendship, they never went into details. But today's matter involves distinguished heavenly gods. Third generation couldn't help it, and directly ordered the Hyuga family to explore the secrets of Danzo. Danzo scolded. Bold, you dare to use your white eyes to probe me, this is the following offense. Third generation said coldly. Danzo, do you want to resist me, the Hokage? Danzo immediately stopped eating. At this moment, he knew that he could no longer hide it, so he said simply, okay, no need to look around, I will tell myself. Yes, my right eye is indeed transplanted with Shisui's Mangekyo Sharingan. There is nothing we can do if we don't admit it. The third generation raised its hand to stop the Hyuga ninja's exploration. So Shisui's death was also your fault. No, Danzo denied it and said, it was Uchiha Itachi. In order to activate Mangekyo, he killed Shisui with his own hands and gave Shisui's right eye to me. He really didn't dare to admit this. Once he admitted that he wanted to take over the position of 5th Hokage, there was no hope anymore. No one would support someone who killed fellow village ninjas to become the new Hokage. After all, Shisui is a good person in everyone's mind. Danzo's answer, third generation, is non-committal. Of course he wouldn't believe Danzo's words, but there was no evidence to prove that Danzo was the one who killed Shisui. Give me Shisui's eyes and this is over. Third generation glanced at Danzo's bandaged right hand and did not pursue further. Although they knew that there must be a Sharingan hidden in Danzo's right hand, third generation chose to remain silent. Keeping Danzo is still useful. If everything is exposed and everyone calls for beating, no one will take the blame in the future. In addition, all root ninjas, gather at the Hokage building immediately. Danzo, after you hand over your eyes, go home to recuperate. The third generation left, taking away Shisui's right eye and all the root ninjas. Danzo is full of anger, but has nowhere to vent it. He suffered a big loss at the hands of Mizuki, and now he was beaten by third generation. Even Shisui lost his eyes. This blow is really too big. The next morning, at the gate of Konoha village, Mizuki met the caravan entrusted with the mission. Complete the registration for leaving the village and prepare to leave the village. At this moment, a group of people came from outside the village. These people were wearing Sunagaku forehead protector. Mizuki glanced at them and immediately noticed them. In this line, it is Sunagaku who came to take the Chunin exam. Jonin Baki, Tamari who carries a fan, Konkuro who carries a puppet, and Gara who carries a gourd. Mizuki's eyes stayed on Gara longer. Feeling Mizuki's gaze, Gara turned around and stared at Mizuki with a pair of panda eyes. Do you want to die? Mizuki chuckled, not intending to behave like a naughty child. The caravan left the village, and Mizuki accompanied it to protect it. Standing outside the gate, Mizuki looked back at Konoha, especially the iconic Hokage building. After advancing some distance, he suddenly sneered, and the next moment, there was a paper airplane in his hand. Third Hokage, you try every means to kill me, but I always respond passively. This time, let you taste my retribution. The paper plane took off, like a bird flying high into the sky, passing through Konoha's perception barrier and flying quickly towards the Hokage building. Target, Hokage office. Detonating bomber. The explosion power is equivalent to 500 detonating symbols, and the flying speed is supersonic. It has been more than a month since I got this thing, and Mizuki has been reluctant to use it. But now, he couldn't help it anymore. What happened yesterday is so scary even thinking about it now. If he hadn't met Uchiha Itachi on the way back from the Land of Waves, he would have developed a fear of Sharingan illusion if he hadn't successfully accepted Locke as his disciple. Lee, granted the return of Liutian toilet water. He was definitely going to win the distinguished heavenly gods yesterday and become Danzo's puppet. That was worse than death. In fact, what he wants most is to take revenge on Danzo and blow up the base. It's a pity that he doesn't know where the root base is, so he can only transfer his hatred to the third Hokage. All in all, it's all third generation's fault. High in the sky, a paper plane flew into Konoha like a meteor. There was a punch ring behind its butt, which immediately attracted the attention of some ninjas on the high wall. But its speed was so fast that it disappeared in a blink of an eye and no one could see clearly what it was. In an instant, the paper plane passed through an invisible barrier. Konoha barrier class, Yamanaka Haiichi immediately noticed this change. As one of the 5 major ninja villages, Konoha is not a small mountain village in the countryside. The roads are open to the sky and people come and go without asking. The entire Konoha was enveloped by a large-scale perception barrier. This barrier is in the shape of a bowl, turning the wooden leaves upside down and even going deep into the ground. Once a strange smell breaks in, the barrier team will immediately sense it and immediately identify whether it is an enemy or a friend, and determine whether there is a threat. In the direction of the village gate, an unknown object broke into the barrier from high altitude, but there was no chakra fluctuation. It looks like a flying bird, very fast, not a big threat. Hai didn't pay too much attention and had no intention of reporting it. But only 3 seconds later, the ground suddenly shook, followed by a deafening roar, causing Hai's expression to change drastically. Hai opened his senses to the maximum extent, and then saw that there was thick black smoke coming out of the Hokage building and the Hokage office. The walls were full of cracks, the windows were completely blown out, broken bricks and tiles were scattered downstairs, and there were several mutilated corpses whose identities could not be identified in a short time. It's over, it's completely over. Third generation was attacked and killed. Something big happened. After the Hokage was attacked, the village immediately entered a state of first-level alert. The villagers were extremely frightened, thinking that the Nine Tails incident had happened again 12 years ago. They didn't need an organization, they all went to the shelter voluntarily. Although they didn't know what was going on, it was human instinct to take refuge. The gate at the entrance of Konoha village was immediately closed. On the wall, all the ninjas looked nervously outside the village, on full alert. The ninjas who were on vacation at home quickly rushed to the Hokage building. The leading teachers and genin from other villages who came to take the Chunin exam were ordered not to go out, and any offenders would be shot. When a large number of ninjas gathered downstairs at the Hokage, the third Hokage arrived with a gloomy face and was late. What the hell is going on? Who did it? Looking at the bombed Hokage office, third generation broke through. The ninjas all breathed a sigh of relief when they saw that the third generation was not dead. Sir Third Generation, news came from the barrier class that an unknown object flew into the village from the sky. In just 3 seconds, your office exploded. Third generation looked horrified. Flying from outside the village to the Hokage building in 3 seconds, how is this possible? The Hokage building is located in the center of the village, and the distance from the outside to here is more than 1,000 meters. What the hell is it that spans 1,000 meters in 3 seconds? Tailed beast bomb is not that fast. This terrifying speed doesn't give people any time to react. Third generation began to rejoice. It was a blessing that it ran to Danzo's house early in the morning to check if Danzo was staying at home honestly. If he were in the office, he would be killed by a bomb now. Where did the attack come from? Third generation asked. Haiichi said, coming from the direction of Konoha's gate. Third generation narrowed his eyes. At this moment, several suspicious targets flashed through his mind. Sunagaku, Orochimaru, or Mizuki. He frowned deeply and felt a sense of horror rising in his heart. If this kind of attack were to happen again, would he be able to dodge it? What are the casualties? The 3 Anbu who were guarding around the office all died. In the corridor, 2 staff members who were passing by were killed and 1 was seriously injured. The floor of the office was blown through. In the mission hall downstairs, 3 clients died, including the daimyo's wife. 2 of the staff who issued the mission died and 2 were seriously injured. The masonry that fell from the window killed 7 passing villagers and injured dozens of others. Those who were seriously injured have been sent to the hospital for rescue. There is no guarantee that the rescue will be successful. In addition, All documents in the office were destroyed. Third generation listened to these numbers and clenched their fists tightly. With an explosion, the number of dead reached 16, and some were seriously injured. It is still unknown whether they can be rescued. Even the daimyo's wife was among the dead, and the third generation's heart was already half cold. Since the Night of Nine Tails 12 years ago, Konoha has never suffered a major loss. But today, disaster struck. Go to the direction of the gate immediately and search for all suspicious characters, especially the ninjas from the outer villages. In addition, vigilance must be stepped up to prevent similar incidents from happening again. With the daimyo's wife dead, third generation felt that their role as Hokage had come to an end. But at this time, what he cared more about was finding the person behind the scenes and cutting him into pieces to vent his hatred. The village was tense, but outside the village, it was not greatly affected. A few hundred meters outside Konoha village, the caravan first felt a slight earthquake on the ground, and then heard a huge explosion from behind. Everyone stopped and looked back, but unfortunately, there was a high wall blocking the scene and they couldn't see the scene where the Hokage building was blown into ruins. Mizuki jumped to the top of a big tree and looked over the wall into the distance. I could see thick smoke still rising in the direction of the Hokage building. Snort. Mizuki sneered. I don't know if it killed the third generation. It's best if you blow it up, but it doesn't matter if you don't. Anyway, the Hokage office was destroyed, along with many documents and ninjutsu scrolls inside, which was enough to make the third generation feel distressed for a while. This detonating bomber is really useful. He planned to send out a few more in the future and blow up whoever was unhappy. Mr. Mizuki, has something happened in Konoha? Do you want to go back and take a look? The caravan leader came to ask. Mizuki said, the village was attacked. As a ninja of Konoha, I must go back to protect the village. So, the mission is suspended. Protecting the village and so on are all nonsense. He wants to go back and see if third generation is dead. If he is dead, he will continue to kill Danzo as well. If the third generation is not dead, let's call it a day and wait until the Chunin exam. By the way, let's take a look at third generation's angry appearance. The caravan leader agreed with Mizuki's opinion and turned back to Konoha. As soon as they arrived at the entrance of Konoha village, Mizuki saw a large number of ninjas rushing towards the outside of the village. What the hell? Does third generation know that I was responsible for the explosion? Mizuki was immediately alert. If he was really here to deal with him, he would have to confront him head-on today and then defect. But soon, he discovered that these ninjas were not coming for him. Only a few ninjas came to ask, and the rest left the village and surged forward in a fan shape. I was worried for nothing. I almost thought I had to defect today. The one who came to ask Mizuki was teammate led by Kurenai Yuhi. Everyone in the caravan was questioned and then cleared of suspicion. Red Jonin, what happened in the village? Yuhi Hong said. The Hokage building was hit by an explosion, and the Hokage office was blown up. Mizuki asked hurriedly. Hokage-sama, are you okay? Kurenai Yuhi said. Third Hokage happened to not be in the Hokage building when the explosion occurred, so nothing happened. Mizuki pretended to be relieved and said, that's good. Master Hokage is fine. The third generation is not dead. Mizuki feels pity. If you're not dead, then you're not dead. If you're not dead this time, you'll definitely be dead next time. Since the third generation is not dead, the Chunin exam can proceed normally. After accepting 5 qualified apprentices, the upper limit will be reached. Only one disciple must become a Chunin before we can continue to accept apprentices. The 3 from class 7, plus Shaoli and Nobita, of which Nobita is not yet qualified to participate in the Chunin start. Naruto, Sasuke, Little Sakura, and Little Lee will all take the Chunin exam. If he doesn't intervene, they may not be able to pass the exam and become Chunin. The Chunin exam is held twice a year. If you miss it this time, you will have to wait until the end of the year. Mizuki couldn't accept being unable to accept more apprentices for half a year. We have to find a way to improve their overall quality. At least Sasuke, Sakura-chan, and Lee-chan still have a chance to pass the exam and become Chunin. Naruto's theoretical foundation was so poor that the village would not let him pass. After all, after becoming a Chunin, you have to lead a team on missions. At Naruto's level, Leading a team into the pit was about the same. Okay, your suspicions have been eliminated and you can leave. But the situation in the village is tense now. Please try not to walk around on the street to avoid unnecessary misunderstandings. As for Mizuki, you should go to the Hokage building and follow Master Hokage's orders. Just as Kurenai Yuhi finished her announcement, third Hokage suddenly arrived. Mizuki, there is nothing wrong with you in the village. Continue to perform the mission and protect the caravan heading to the land of tea. The third generation came here deliberately to allow Mizuki to leave the village and continue her mission. Kurenai Yuhi was stunned and glanced meaningfully at third generation. Mizuki nodded. Yes, Hokage-sama. So the caravan left the village again. The way third generation does this, there is no silver 300 taels here. There must be an ambush on the road. Otherwise, at this moment, how could he send the village's ninjas to continue their mission out of the village? Mizuki walked, thinking. The third generation knew that I had apparition and that I had the Rasengan, but they still sent me out of the village to ambush me. In other words, the people ambushing on the road ahead are capable of killing me. Who is it? Jiraiya, or Uchiha Itachi? The caravan moved forward without any hurry or delay. While Mizuki was on alert, he was also thinking about countermeasures. What should I do if I meet Jiraiya? What should I do if I meet Uchiha Itachi? Can I fight it? Should I fight or flee? In the afternoon, it suddenly started to rain lightly. Looking around, it was all white and the visibility was very poor. Mizuki wears a hooded cloak to keep out the rain. But the humid and sticky air and the muddy road underfoot made Mizuki feel a little uncomfortable. He doesn't like to rush on rainy days. The caravan walked on the forest road, except for the sound of wheels, everyone was quiet. Suddenly, the front stopped. Mr. Mizuki, there is a situation ahead. Needless to say, Mizuki has seen it. There is only one person standing in the way. Wearing a black windbreaker with red clouds, short orange hedgehog hair, and wearing a forehead protector for the rebel ninja of Rainman Village. The most noteworthy thing is his eyes, with their distinctive lines. Rinnegan. Mizuki never expected that it was not Jiraiya, not Uchiha Itachi, but Tendo Pain. Tiandao cannot come alone. Pain and Six Paths are all dispatched at the same time. Also, to control Pain, Nagato must be nearby. Mizuki is really convinced. I am not a big shot in the ninja world, does the Akatsuki organization need to be like this? Pain stood in the middle of the road, looking at Mizuki. Konoha Shinobi Mizuki, introduce yourself. I am Pain, the leader of the Akatsuki organization, and I am a god. Mizuki's mouth twitched. This style is high enough. It's much better than Orochimaru asking people if they know about immortality when they meet. I know that your strength is not weak, and you are being targeted by high-level officials in Konoha, so I specially invite you to join the Akatsuki organization today. Let's work together to create a perfect ninja world that is peaceful, without oppression, and without conspiracy. The unfair treatment you received in Konoha will not happen in the world we create in the future. Mizuki's mouth twitched. This pie is so beautifully painted, but it's a pity that he doesn't know that he is just a chess piece in the hands of others. His ideal world will never be realized. Sorry, I refuse. Pain nodded and said calmly, then I will defeat you and make you willing to join the Akatsuki organization. Mizuki immediately said, wait a minute. Pain looked at Mizuki and said nothing. I'm happy to accompany you in the fight, but you have to fight over there. These ordinary people shouldn't be affected by the fight between us. Mizuki pointed deep into the jungle. Pain said, no, they saw my Rinnegan, and they all have to die to avoid the leak of the information. Pain's words made Mizuki feel angry. In that case, I'll deal with you first. Disapparating behind Pain, Rasengan has been handed out, but Pain is obviously not so easy to deal with. Shinra Tenjang. A powerful repulsive force appeared instantly, with Pain as the center, pushing crazily around. Mizuki screamed in pain, his body flew out, and the Rasengan in his hand also dissipated. The caravan was even more overwhelmed by the Shinluo Tianjang. Fortunately, it was not too close, otherwise there would have been casualties. Mizuki felt particularly calm while walking backwards. The cooldown time of Shinra Tianjang is 5 seconds, so let's try it again. The next moment, the apparition was activated again, and he appeared behind Pain again, continuing the Rasengan. Snapped. Pain turned around in an instant and grabbed Mizuki's wrist. Mizuki was shocked. The reaction speed of this nerve is really too fast, as if it can predict. Pain grabbed Mizuki's wrist with one hand, and a black stick came out of the palm of his other hand, stabbing Mizuki in the shoulder. This black rod is a product made by Rinnegan and involves yin and yang escape. If the black rod is pierced into the body, the chakra acupuncture points will be blocked and the chakra operation will be disrupted. Even tailed beasts can be restrained by the black rod. Mizuki's expression changed and he shouted, "Transformation technique." With a bang, Pain turned into a little sheep, and his hands turned into sheep's hooves. Mizuki's grabbed wrist lost its restraint and was immediately freed. After only 0.1 seconds, Pain returned to his original shape, but by this time, Mizuki had already jumped several meters away. Pain looked at Mizuki and said, "The ninjutsu that can transform others made me unable to resist even at that moment. You are not only a strong man, but also a genius in ninjutsu." Mizuki looked at Pain with a solemn expression. His own transformation failed unexpectedly again. First it was Uchiha Itachi, and now it's Tendo Pain. This made Mizuki feel that his strength was still a little bit behind. Although he knows a lot of ninjutsu, his methods are also weird. But when facing these strong men, there is no advantage. It's a bit like Obito playing 4th generation. On the surface, it looks like Obito has the advantage. Kamui can attack and defend, and is very invincible, but in the end, he was taught how to behave by 4th generation. I still don't have enough fighting consciousness. Although the transformation technique only lasted 0.1 seconds, I just wanted to retreat. Although 0.1 second is very short, for experts, it is enough to attack once. If I had taken the opportunity to attack just now, I might have killed Pain. The upgraded transformation technique allows others to transform, and it is a forced transformation. After the transformation, the enemy's shape changes and cannot attack. Used well, it can be crushed directly. The disadvantage is that the stronger the person, the shorter the duration of the transformation. When used on Naruto before, Naruto could be forced to transform for 5 seconds, but just now, it only allowed Pain to transform for 0.1 seconds. And when used on stronger people, it consumes a lot of energy. In an instant, Mizuki's chakra lost a full 5 calories. It's a pity that Mizuki didn't seize the opportunity to fight back. If you take advantage of that 0.1 second gap to wave the kunai, you will definitely have good results. The fighting consciousness is still too lacking. Your technique is very powerful, but the duration is too short. In addition, your neurological reactions, combat consciousness, and combat experience are only at the level of others. Even though you have mastered many magical ninjutsu, you still can't do anything to me," Pain said, raising his right hand. Universal pull. Mizuki's body immediately lost control and flew towards Pain. At this time, the black rod had emerged from the palm of Pain's left hand and was aimed at Mizuki's shoulder. Mizuki didn't panic, he used disapparition again and got behind Pain. Pain reacted very quickly and turned around instantly. While the chakra is enough, do it again. Mizuki's left hand slapped Pain's body, Rasengan condensed in his hand, and at the same time, upgraded clone technique was used. When Rasengan was formed, Pain turned into a little sheep. Dual purpose, come in handy for the first time. The next moment, Rasengan hits the little sheep in the head. 0.1 second passed in an instant, and Pain returned to his human form, but his body had been blown away, his head was severely damaged, he fell to the ground, and rolled for more than 10 meters. Then he stopped moving completely. Call. Mizuki gasped for air. Success. A transformation technique, which consumes 5 cards of chakra, was used twice, plus several uses of displacement and Rasengan. At this time, the chakra in Mizuki's body was almost bottomed out. There are only 2 cards left. Looking at Pain's body not far away, Mizuki smiled bitterly. It is too difficult to deal with just one Tendo and exhaust most of his chakra. In the woods, a sound broke through the air, and someone was approaching quickly. Through the trees, you can see the iconic red cloud trench coat with a black background. Mizuki turned to look at the caravan not far away and sighed. You guys, wish yourselves good luck. At this moment, he had too much to take care of himself, and there was really nothing he could do about these people in the caravan. The leader of the caravan also saw the helplessness on Mizuki's face. Mr. Mizuki, is there really nothing we can do? Mizuki shook his head and said, you are all implicated by me, but if you want to blame it on third Hokage. The caravan leader didn't know what Mizuki meant, but at this time, he was completely desperate. The next moment, 5 figures fell. It's the other 5 of Pain's 6 paths. After they arrived, they did not attack Mizuki immediately, but stood guard in front of Tendo's body. Hell Path summoning comes out of hell. The king of hell opened his mouth, stretched out a long purple tongue with hands, put the damaged Tendo Pain into his mouth, and started chewing. Mizuki knew that he had to leave, otherwise he would not be able to leave when Tiandao was resurrected. Before you leave, let's make one last effort. He turned around and said to the leader of the caravan, you run away immediately, I will hold you here for a while, you just see your luck. In the rear, there are Konoha shinobi sent by 3rd generation to search for the people who attacked Hokage's office. If there is a battle here, they will definitely sense it and send people here. If these people in the caravan encountered the ninjas of Konoha, they might have a chance of survival. After Mizuki finished speaking, no need for the caravan leader to say anything, everyone fled backwards. Mizuki stood there without moving, but split into dozens of clones. These clones scattered in all directions and disappeared in the blink of an eye. The pens on the opposite side didn't stop him, they were just clones, as long as the main body was still there. As for the ordinary people in the caravan, they did not pursue them. Most importantly, it's Mizuki. Behind Pain, Yama chewed heavily and then opened his mouth. Tiandao Pain walked out intact. 6 paths of Pain, come on. 6 Pain stood together, 6 pairs of Rinnegan, extremely oppressive. Mizuki said, the legendary immortal eye, Rinnegan, is indeed powerful. However, I still refuse to join the Akatsuki organization. Tiandao Pain, you gave up your own escape for those ordinary people. I admire you very much. But if you insist on refusing, I will have no choice but to kill you. Mizuki was speechless. Didn't you say that the Akatsuki organization was established to create a beautiful and peaceful world? If I don't join, you will kill me. What kind of peace is this? Pain, if you don't join, you are an obstacle to peace, so you must die. Mizuki opened his mouth wide, unable to refute this reason. He said, it seems that it's really hard for me not to join. In that case, please tell me about the situation of the Akatsuki organization first. Where is your base? How many members are there? How strong are the members? How do you want to achieve peace? Tiandao Pain said, I know you are stalling for time and want those people to escape. But I said, they met the Rinnegan. And they knew part of the Rinnegan's abilities. In order to prevent the information from leaking, they must die. So, you've wasted your efforts. I will tell you these questions after you join the Akatsuki organization. So, make your decision. Mizuki frowned. At this time, he heard the screams coming from behind. A group of poor people could not escape the tragic fate of being killed. It's all third Hokage's fault. The screams ended quickly, and then the sound of 2 footsteps came. Mizuki turned his head and saw Uchiha Itachi and Hoshigaki Kisame walking over. Samahata on Kisami's back is still bleeding. Chief, all those people have been dealt with. Kisame smiled cruelly. Uchiha Itachi looked at Mizuki, ready to make a move. Especially the 3 Magatama in the right eye are already slowly rotating. I have the urge to turn on Mangekyo and release Amaterasu. Mizuki looked at Tendo Pain with a smile on his lips. My decision is, refuse. Tiandao looked indifferent and said, in that case, then you can leave your life here. Mizuki shook his head and said, I will not join the Akatsuki organization and I will not die. Even the Rinnegan cannot kill me. Tiandao, you can indeed come and go freely by changing your appearance. However, unless you move to an extremely far place in an instant, you will not be able to escape my pursuit. As soon as he finished speaking, Tiandao Pain's feet left the ground and floated up. He looked down at Mizuki with indifference in his eyes. It's like a high-altitude god who ignores the ants on the ground. I am God, and in God's realm, you can't escape. Mizuki sighed and said, you claim to be a god, but you don't know that you are just a pawn on someone else's chessboard. They talk about peace, but they ignore life and wantonly kill. The Akatsuki organization is not as good as Konoha. That's it. After the words fell, Mizuki stopped talking. He wants to run. Uchiha Itachi's Sharingan noticed the change in Mizuki immediately. The right eye instantly transformed into Mangekyo, and the flames of Amaterasu appeared, aiming at Mizuki. The black flames burned Mizuki directly. But the next moment, there was only a bang sound, and Mizuki turned into a burst of smoke and completely dissipated. The Mizuki in the field is not his true body at all, but a false clone. Tiandao frowned. Is this the original purpose of releasing the clone before? Chief, what should we do now? Itachi asked. Uchiha Itachi was worried. After receiving the news from the third Hokage, he and Kisame planned to intercept them halfway. What he said was to capture Mizuki and force him to join the Akatsuki organization. What I was thinking about was that the moment I saw Mizuki, I let Amaterasu go as soon as possible without giving Mizuki any chance. The plan is very good. What Itachi didn't expect was that Konan also obtained information that Mizuki was about to leave the village. Then pain came. The previous failure to capture made Konan believe that the capture would not be successful with Uchiha Itachi and Hoshigaki Kisame alone. So, she breaks the news to Nagato. In her mind, Mizuki's ability to save his life and escape was so slippery that it would be difficult to catch him unless Pain took action himself. As for why Mizuki had to be captured, it's a long story. Ever since Orochimaru defected from the organization, Akatsuki has been lacking a member, and the member codenamed Sora has been vacant. 10 rings, there should be 10 official members. Now that one is missing, it is very unsightly and has an impact on Akatsuki's strength and plans. So it must be completed. It's not that I haven't found someone, but I have searched all over the ninja world and haven't found a suitable person to become the new Sora. The Akatsuki organization doesn't like people like Zabuza at all. Finally, a Mizuki appeared, with unique methods and powerful strength. He was repeatedly targeted by the third generation, and his fiancée was even killed by Konoha. Such people are most suitable to join Shao. Opportunity not to be missed. He doesn't hesitate to use Pain to drag Mizuki into the trap. Pain glanced at Uchiha Itachi. Itachi's action of using Amaterasu to burn Mizuki just now was not ambiguous at all. This posture, instead of pulling people in, is clearly killing people. Now that I'm here, he can't escape. Tiandao Pain said lightly. His body quickly rose into the air, and he looked down at the surroundings. Under Rinnegan's shroud, nothing can escape. When he looked towards the north, his eyes suddenly froze, and even a look of surprise flashed across his face. He saw Mizuki flying in the air like Superman, with his head facing north and his feet facing south, and he was extremely fast. Comparing the flight speed, Pain felt that he was not as good as Mizuki. The Earth Kingdom's secret light and heavy rock technique. Pain was confused, but then he looked at Mizuki's soles. In Rinnegan's field of vision, he clearly saw that the soles of Mizuki's feet were spraying chakra downwards. Gather chakra at the soles of your feet, spray it out, and generate a reverse thrust. This Mizuki is indeed no ordinary ninja. He can even think of this kind of ninjutsu. Inviting him to join the Akatsuki organization is the right decision. It's a pity that he didn't want to. Pain watched helplessly as Mizuki flew away until he disappeared from sight. Chief, what's going on? Where is Mizuki? Uchiha Itachi asked hurriedly as Pain fell to the ground. Pain shook his head and said, he has mastered the flying ninjutsu and is extremely fast. He is flying north to Konoha. We can no longer catch up. This arrest failed. Uchiha Itachi was shocked that Mizuki actually mastered the flying ninjutsu, which he had never expected. He lamented again that Mizuki was hiding too deeply. At this time Kisame said, this Mizuki is really a slippery loach. Even the leader can't catch him. I think it's better to rush into Konoha directly. Anyway, with the leader's strength, Konoha can't stop him. No, Pain immediately rejected it and explained, the current Akatsuki organization cannot be an enemy of the ninja village. However, the plan to capture the tailed beast can be implemented. Nine Tails Jinchuriki is in the land of waves. Itachi, Kisame, you two go and capture him. Failing to catch Mizuki, Pain immediately shifted his target to Naruto. Mizuki flew a certain distance, and when he saw that there were no pursuers behind him, he fell down. I never expected that it would be Pain who came. Fortunately, I have some means. In addition, Uchiha Itachi's murderous aura is too strong. It seems that he will have to publicize it when he returns. You make it difficult for me, and I will make it difficult for you too. Soon, he returned to Konoha. Third Generation was informed by Anbu and was furious when he found out Mizuki was back. Didn't Itachi say that the flames of Amaterasu could kill Mizuki? Why did Mizuki come back alive? This time the plan to kill Mizuki failed again, and Third Generation was really in trouble. Distinguished heavenly gods are ineffective against Mizuki, and Amaterasu didn't kill Mizuki. Could it be that Mizuki is hiding more strength? At this moment, Third Generation was a little panicked. He didn't take Mizuki seriously before. Even if Mizuki had apparated, even if Mizuki had learned the Rasengan, Third Generation still felt it was nothing. He always felt that if Mizuki was really strong, it would be impossible for him not to resist after being murdered several times by him. Definitely not strong enough to resist. Now, this idea of Third Generation has changed. I became afraid of Mizuki. Since he has the strength, why doesn't he resist? Is he mentally ill and likes to stay in Konoha and scheming with me? With such strength, he can be like Orochimaru and Itachi. Even if he defects, there is nothing Konoha can do against him. But he refused to defect. What was the reason for this? Third Generation decided that after meeting Mizuki for a while, they would explore Mizuki's background. We must find out why Mizuki stays in Konoha and what his attitude is towards Konoha. Third Generation waited for a long time, but did not get Mizuki. Didn't Mizuki return to the village? Where did he go? Anbu reported. Hokage-sama, after Mizuki returned to the village, he heard that Iruka was injured in the explosion in Hokage's office and was hospitalized, so he went directly to the hospital to visit. Third Generation frowned. Mizuki goes to Konoha to visit Iruka. If a ninja mission fails, shouldn't the first thing you do when you return to the village be come to the Hokage building and report the reasons and details of the mission failure to Hokage? Why go to the hospital to visit the patient first? This is unreasonable, very unreasonable. Could it be that he really blew up the office? Now that he knows that Iruka was injured due to the explosion, he feels guilty and rushes to visit him immediately. Third Generation felt that they had guessed the truth. According to his understanding, it wasn't you who blew it up, so why are you feeling guilty? But this also illustrates something from the side. Third Generation narrowed his eyes. Mizuki still has friendship for Iruka. His mind was spinning quickly. If the two of them are allowed to have more contact, or even perform tasks together, and develop this friendship into a bond, then there will be more ways to deal with him. Tsubaki's death made Third Generation feel that Mizuki was a cold-blooded person. A cold-blooded person has no emotional weakness and acts unscrupulously without caring about the consequences. This kind of person is the most difficult to deal with. Because you have no other choice but to use stronger force to defeat him. Threaten the lives of loved ones. Sorry, cold-blooded people have no affection in their eyes. Similarly, friendship and love cannot be used as a bargaining chip for threats. Because cold-blooded people don't care at all. Now, Mizuki goes to visit Iruka, making Third Generation feel that Mizuki is not a completely cold-blooded person. As such, Mizuki is not without emotional weaknesses. If used well, this will be a shortcut to subdue Mizuki. Third Generation narrowed its eyes and began to formulate a new plan. Konoha Hospital. Iruka was lying on the bed, his body covered with bandages, but he was awake. Mizuki, I didn't expect you to come see me. Mizuki stood beside the bed and said, we are friends who grew up together after all. Isn't it right to come and see you? Iruka, friends, I thought. Halfway through his words, he suddenly fell silent. It's exactly what Third Generation suspected. Mizuki felt a little guilty, so after returning to Konoha, he came to the hospital to visit Iruka as soon as possible. He couldn't care so much about the others who were killed or injured, and could only say sorry in his heart. Of course, visiting Iruka also has another purpose, which is to let the villagers know that he, Mizuki, is not a cold-blooded person. He insisted on staying in Konoha, and his image still had to be maintained. Although it was a bit frustrating to stay in Konoha and be targeted every 2 days, he still had no intention of defecting. At least, there are no plans to defect at this stage. Even if he defected, he would not join other forces. Neither the Akatsuki organization nor the Sound Ninja Village had any appeal to him. If he really defected, he would only create a force of his own. He is not ready now. He doesn't know what he should do. In short, he has no ideals and no goals to strive for. Black Zetsu has been planning for thousands of years to resurrect his mother. Orochimaru established the Sound Ninja Village to conduct research and gain immortality. The ideal of the Akatsuki organization is peace in the shinobi world. Uchiha Madara and Obito want to use infinite Tsukuyomi to build a beautiful dream world. In comparison, Mizuki has not yet found his ideal. Perhaps, returning to the earth is a good ideal, but this ideal is too far away and too illusory. An ideal without hope is just a daydream. Thinking about it, Mizuki suddenly felt a little irritable. In his previous life, he was a loser who had no ideals and fell into disrepute after graduating from college. After traveling through time, there was still no ideal. He couldn't help but feel a negative feeling that life was meaningless. Looking at Mizuki standing beside the bed in a daze, Iruka suddenly asked, "Mizuki, do you know the cause of Tsubaki's death?" Mizuki frowned and said, "I don't know." He didn't want to say more about this matter. It's best for Iruka not to know anything, otherwise something could easily happen. Iruka refused to give up. The Hokage office was bombed. "Was it you?" Mizuki said again. "No." "Okay, I failed this mission and need to report to the third Hokage. I'll see you next time." After saying that, Mizuki turned and left. Watching Mizuki walk out of the ward, Iruka sighed. "I saw Chun leave with Genin that day. She should have died in front of you. I just hope she doesn't die in your hands." As soon as Mizuki walked out of the ward, a man walked towards him. He had medium-long silver hair, round glasses, and a warm smile on his face. He looked very harmless. Yakushi Kabuto. Mizuki recognized this person's identity at a glance. Looking at Hokage in the past life, Mizuki's three most hated characters, Shimura Danzo, Haruno Sakura, and Yakushi Kabuto. The dislike for Yakushi Kabuto stems from this person's unscrupulous behavior. Of course, this is also a poor man. He personally killed the orphanage director who loved him most, his adoptive mother, Yakushi no, and he lost his direction in life from then on. Becoming cold-blooded, cruel, hypocritical, and pathetic. Third generation and Danzo did it. Most of the tragedies that occur in Hokage have Danzo or third generation behind them. Mizuki looked at Yakushi Kabuto, but Yakushi Kabuto pretended not to know him at all. "I'm intern Yakushi Kabuto, may I help you?" Mizuki smiled and said, "I do need your help with something, but I don't know if you dare." Kabuto immediately realized that Mizuki knew him and knew his identity. But as an excellent spy, Kabuto had excellent psychological quality. Even if he knew that he had been exposed, he remained calm and did not show any abnormality. "I'm just an intern. I can't help with things that are too complicated." Mizuki said, "It's not complicated, and you're definitely interested." Kabuto immediately showed interest and said, "In that case, please give me your orders." Mizuki looked around and said, "Forget it for today, let's do it next time." After saying that, he passed by Kabuto. Kabuto's eyes were in a daze for a while, but when he came back to his senses, Mizuki had already walked away. Turning back and watching Mizuki's leaving figure, Kabuto had a strange smile on his lips. Uchiha Itachi joined the Akatsuki organization to become a spy. Interesting. Really interesting. Just now, Mizuki cast a simple illusion on Yakushi Kabuto, and in the illusion, told Yakushi Kabuto Uchiha Itachi's spy identity. Mizuki's purpose is to spread the word through Orochimaru. You can promote it yourself, but others won't believe it. If Orochimaru is publicized, its credibility will increase. Uchiha Itachi wanted to kill him so much, so he had to express it to some extent. If he didn't have the chance to kill him, he could always create some trouble. In addition, he can also perform genjutsu, and his attainments are probably quite high. I need to tell Orochimaru-sama about this information. Orochimaru's living corpse reincarnation, although you can achieve eternal youth by changing your body. But every time he was reincarnated, his spirit was damaged. This also resulted in Orochimaru's resistance to illusions being severely reduced. This was the reason why Itachi looked at him for a second. Now that Yakushi Kabuto has discovered that Mizuki's genjutsu skills are not low, he naturally wants to inform Orochimaru and ask Orochimaru to be on guard. After all, the two parties agreed to cooperate in the country of waves. Don't be stabbed in the back by your partner then, it will be fun. Mizuki left the hospital, went to the Hokage building, and came to the temporary office to report the details of the mission to third generation. But I was told that third generation was not here. In a conference room, the rectangular conference table was full of people. The one sitting at the top of the table was the daimyo of the Land of Fire, holding a cattail leaf fan in his hand. The maid behind the daimyo holds a kitten with a bow in her arms. It is the daimyo's lady's little tiger. This time Mrs. Daimyo came to Konoha to issue a mission to find Xiaohu. As soon as Xiaohu was found, she was affected by the explosion and died. The cat survived, intact. To the left of the daimyo, sat Konoha's third-generation Sarutobi Hiruzen, two advisors Mitokado Homura and Udatane Kaharu, and Hokage think tank Nara Shikaku. On the right side, there are officials from Daming Mansion. These officials all put on a posture of launching an army to investigate. An official stood up and said, "Third Hokage, something like this happened to the daimyo's lady in Konoha. This incident is a huge blow to the fire country and the daimyo himself. As a Hokage, it is not good for you to protect the lady. It really shouldn't be." The daimyo nodded and said, "That's right, it's too inappropriate." The daimyo's wife died, but there was no sense of sadness on his face. Probably, the relationship between the couple was very bad, or even disgusted. The official added, "The murderer has not been caught until now. Are all the ninjas in Konoha living on dry food? All the military expenses provided by the Daming Palace every year are fed to pigs." The official was not polite at all. The four Konoha people opposite had ugly expressions. Fortunately, the four of them are quite young and have cultivated their mind and character. If a young one had come, they would probably explode at this time. The murderer must be caught as soon as possible and sent to Daming Mansion to be beheaded in public to avenge his wife. In addition, as the third Hokage, you bear the main responsibility for the death of my wife. Be prepared to take the blame and resign, and replace it with someone more capable." The third generation stood up and bowed deeply to the daimyo. "Lord Daimyo, I deeply apologize for this attack. I have planned to resign from the Hokage, but the Chunin exam is about to take place and it is not convenient to hand over the power. When the Chunin exam is over, I will resign immediately and choose a new Hokage. I have sent people to find Tsunade. As the granddaughter of the first generation and one of the Sannin, Tsunade is qualified to hold the position of Hokage." The daimyo nodded. "The Chunin exam is about to begin, and it's really inappropriate to switch to Hokage now. Anyway, it's only a month at most, so I can afford to wait." "So, where is the murderer?" Third generation said. "The initial suspicion is that it was Uchiha Itachi, because Uchiha Itachi was near Konoha on the day of the incident. That day Uchiha Itachi came near Konoha, used the summoning beast crow to carry a large number of detonating charms, and rushed directly into my office, causing a horrific explosion. He actually wanted to say that the murderer was Mizuki, and then take the opportunity to attack Mizuki, using the power of the entire village to kill or even capture Mizuki alive. But again, there is no evidence. Daming and officials of the Daming Prefecture cannot be fooled by just a few words. You say Mizuki is the murderer, but where is the evidence?" "What? No evidence? Do you really think that my name is a fool, and you just want to scare this matter away by finding someone to blame? Do you no longer want Konoha's funds? Does the Hokage building not want to be renovated? Does the ninja not want to eat? And throw out Uchiha Itachi, and the daimyo has nothing to say. Uchiha Itachi is a traitorous ninja and attacked Konoha out of hatred. This is probably a good reason. Uchiha Itachi did appear near Konoha, so he wasn't just wandering around." Sure enough, upon hearing the words Uchiha Itachi, the daimyo's eyes immediately became solemn. That traitorous ninja who massacred the entire Uchiha clan. Only such a person could successfully attack the Hokage tower. The daimyo had no doubt at all and directly identified Uchiha Itachi as the murderer of the attack on Konoha. The third generation looked confused. "You also know Uchiha Itachi's strength. It is a bit difficult to capture him. Moreover, the Chunin exam is coming soon, and the village cannot spare manpower, so I ask the daimyo to give him more time." The daimyo said, I don't care whether it's difficult or not, anyway. Before the daimyo finished speaking, the door to the conference room was suddenly pushed open. The sound of the door opening attracted everyone's attention, and the daimyo's words were interrupted. The daimyo was unhappy, but when he saw the people coming in, he didn't dare to say anything. The door opened and Danzo walked in, followed by two people, one large and one small. Danzo, what are you doing here? You have been relieved of your duties now. You are not eligible to participate in this meeting. Third generation scolded. Danzo ignored third generation, but looked at the daimyo. Lord Daimyo, Hiruzen is lying to you. The murderer of this explosion is not Uchiha Itachi at all, but a special jonin in the village, Mizuki. Danzo, shut up and get out immediately. Third generation slammed the table, stood up and shouted. Danzo, who used to be obedient to third generation, disobeyed this time. Third generation made such a big mistake this time, and its prestige among the villagers has dropped to an all-time low. He was blamed by the daimyo again and was about to take the blame and resign. Danzo already has disdain for this third generation. A Hokage who is about to step down does not deserve my respect and obedience. Elder Danzo, you said the murderer was that Mizuki, do you have any evidence? The daimyo asked. Danzo smiled, turned around and pointed at the two people behind him, one large and one small, and said, the two of them are the evidence. These two people, one is the director of the orphanage, and the other is Nobita. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.